Field in New York, the New York Mets played the Chicago Cubs. Friday Night Baseball on SNY is brought to you by Time Warner Cable. Well, it was quite a game last night at Citi Field as the Mets beat the Phillies, and it was all right in the end. David Wright played hero all night long, 4 RBIs, including the game winner, as David continues to put together an MVP season sitting on top of the world. And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to Citi Field. Gary Cohen, Keith Hernandez, Ron Darling joins us in just a moment as the Mets begin their final series before the All-Star break, 3 games with the Chicago Cubs. Now, remember, the Mets came out of the Yankees series, a very emotional series, went to Chicago and promptly played 2 of their worst games of the season, hoping to avoid a similar fate tonight after a very emotional series against the Phillies.
Well, it was a tremendous win last night for the Mets, and if you're going to contend, and this is a young team out there, Gary, and we're still finding out about them. We know that they got lots of moxie and resilience. They went to Chicago, as you know, after a big series and lost 2 out of 3. This is a Cub team that's 20 games under 500 in a very bad division. You cannot have the letdown if you're for real. So this is a big game tonight to keep the ball rolling. 3 games to the break. Keep pushing to the break.
And the Cubs have begun to play well recently, winning 7 of the last 10. And as was the case when they went to Chicago, it's Johan Santana who gets the ball in the opening game.
You know what's great about Santana? His last start before the first half is done, you didn't know what to expect from him when he started this season. He didn't know what to expect. I know the Mets knew that if they kept him healthy, he's the kind of competitor that definitely would have got the job done. But you didn't expect numbers like that, 1.16 ERA at home. He has just been outstanding in his first half.
And after a bit of a hangover from the no-hitter, 2 bad starts, he's had 3 good ones in a row. But he lost to the Cubs first time around because of defense and because of the guy he's facing tonight, Travis Wood.
Well, Travis Wood has been outstanding. He's got a scoreless streak of 18 2/3 innings, but even better than that, he is an outstanding athlete, and he did something that pitchers that have had success against the Mets has done. He has pounded the strike zone, and he did with the wind blowing in Chicago in his last start.
So Santana gets his final start before the All-Star break as the Mets try and finish the statistical first half strong. Mets and Cubs, all the action coming your way on SNY. NY is brought to you by Time Warner Cable. Enjoy all the things you love better. TV, internet, and home phone from Time Warner Cable. By Geico. By Lexus. By the new summer barbecue menu at Burger King. Let's have a barbecue today. By New York State. Discover what you love. Plan your vacation now. And by Kia Motors. The 2013 MLB All-Star Game is coming to Citi Field. Secure access to buy 2013 All-Star Event tickets by becoming a 2012 season ticket holder, 40-game plan holder, or a 15-game pack holder by this Tuesday. Get to Mets.com/All-Star info today for more information. Here's your Mets upcoming schedule. You can listen to every Mets game on Sports Radio 66 WFAN. Note the start time tomorrow, 4 o'clock, 1 o'clock Sunday, and then the Mets get 4 days off. Well, except for David Wright and R.A. Dickey and Terry Collins. They're going to Kansas City. And the Mets resume action after the break a week from tonight in Atlanta. That road trip takes them to Atlanta and Washington. Key games. But the Mets trying to get a fast start into the break as Johan Santana on Hispanic Heritage Night will take them out against Travis Wood. The Mets and Cubs on a hot night in New York. First pitch is coming right up. Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Cholula Hot Sauce. Visit the concession stands behind sections 137 and 431 at Citi Field to try the all-new flamethrower tenders and the Chipotle chicken sandwich. Cholula Hot Sauce, the flavorful hot sauce with the iconic wooden cap. Hitting the road, take the Mets with you this season. Subscribe to MLB.tv today to see every Mets out-of-market game live online and on your favorite devices in HD quality. Visit Mets.com to order and get more details. MLB.tv, baseball everywhere. Check out the Ford starting lineup for the Cubs, and for the first time this season, Dale Swaim does not write Starlin Castro's name in the lineup. He had started each of the first 82 games for the Cubs, and he's going to the All-Star game on Tuesday, so Swaim decides to give Castro this game off and moves Darwin Barney over to shortstop for the first time this year. Jeff Baker, who has been a second baseman for most of his career, starts there for the first time this season, as Johan Santana makes his final start before the All-Star break.
66 games over 500 in his career, fine 139 and a 73 record. 16 starts this season, 2 complete games, 2 shutouts, of course. That no-hitter coming 36 days ago.
And the Lexus Mets defense got some changes today. You see Cedeno getting his 4th start at second base. Turner starting at first base. Nicky is behind the plate. So Davis, Tolley, and Murph get a rest against the left-hander after that really, really exciting ball game. Now, a little sacrifice of defense at first base here with Turner, but you know, you got to play your bench players. You got to keep them fresh.
You know, I think you're right, Keith. Of all the positions in the infield that Turner plays, first base is probably his least favorite, or struggles at that position a little.
Terry Collins was asked today about the balance between getting the right-handed bats in against the left-handed starters, and this is the 3rd straight lefty starter the Mets are facing, and getting his young left-hand hitters accustomed to hitting against left-handed pitching. Now, yesterday he played the lefties against Cole Hamels, but substantially not tonight, sitting Murphy and Tolley and Davis against Travis Wood.
Well, a lot of it had to do with last night. The 5 left-handers he had in last night, Tolley and Ike Davis were 2 of the 5, went 2-16 with 7 punch-outs against Cole Hamels last night.
Yeah, I like the Mets uniform here. The blue tops.
Great color.
Really nice looking.
Well, the Mets are adding an alternate blue jersey next year. They're kind of trying it out tonight and going with the Los Mets version of it on Hispanic Heritage Night.
Check the wind. Back and forth.
David will do that before the first inning of every game begins. Reed Johnson leads off against Santana. Johnson having a very good year in a platoon role, hitting at .283. And he has great career numbers against Santana, although Johan held him in check in the game he pitched against the Cubs in Chicago. Johnson, Barney, and Rizzo up against Santana, and the first pitch of the night is up and away for ball 1. Johnson 13 for 28 against Santana. That's a .464 lifetime batting average. And he lifts one to left center field, hit pretty well. Back goes Nieuwenhuis to the track near the wall. It's out of here.
Wow.
Reed Johnson getting a hold of one, his 3rd home run of the year, and he hit it way back into the old seats in left center. The Cubs get a leadoff home run from Reed Johnson, and just like that, lead it 1-0. His 2nd home run against Santana, and he resumes ownership of the Mets ace lefty.
1-0 fastball, meant to be inside, and I think it was right upstairs and right down Broadway. Right down the middle.
Well, you know, as the weather has heated up, we've seen the ball travel a lot better here.
I have never seen the ball, and now it has. This is the first season that we've had this kind of heat, I think. And there he's right on it. You can see right in the fat of the bat. And that ball is carrying.
First leadoff home run for the Cubs this year. Their last was by Starlin Castro last August. 8th time that Reed Johnson has led off a game with a home run, and so the Cubs strike first. Darwin Barney hitting 2nd in the order, hitting at .262. And Santana finds the inside corner, and Santana's fastball early on, 86, 87 miles an hour. We have seen this before with Johan, that he starts at some lower velocity with that fastball and gains a little as he goes along.
The one I really saw was the one in Atlanta, that start. But I will tell you, very surprised that coming off this injury, I thought we would see this more from Johan, that he would kind of struggle in the first inning until he got loose.
3-2 to Barney, and it's lifted out to right center. Over comes Duda, has to accelerate and gets there for the first down of the night. So Barney is retired after the home run by Johnson. 1 out, and here comes Anthony Rizzo, who has certainly provided a spark for the Cubs since he was called up a week and a half ago. Made his first 2 starts for the Cubs against the Mets, and in the first one drove in the game-winning run.
Well, his first 9 ball games, hitting .314 with 6 extra base hits, 3 doubles, 3 home runs.
Rizzo acquired from the Padres in the deal that sent Andrew Cashner to San Diego. Cashner now on the disabled list after being moved into a starting role. Rizzo, who struggled mightily in San Diego last year, tore it up in AAA again this year before being called up, and off to a nice start.
You know, in a strange way, when a team is having a bad year and they bring up a young phenom, it takes some of the pressure off the rest of the club, because they're not answering questions about how bad they are. They're answering questions about how good this kid could become.
Rizzo, who began life in the Red Sox organization, traded to San Diego in the Adrian Gonzalez deal. So here he is, 22 years old. He's already been traded twice. And now a lot of the Cubs' future hopes are pinned on Anthony Rizzo. And he drills one foul, 2-2.
I was traded only 6 months after being drafted. It's devastating, I'll tell you.
First trade's always a rough one.
Well, as we head toward first the All-Star break and then the trading deadline, just 3.5 weeks away, there are very few teams that you know will be sellers. A little flare foul, and the Cubs are one of those few teams. 20 games under 500, 15 games out of first place. They are looking to build for the future. And I think it's fair to say that when Theo Epstein and Jed Hoyer and Del Swain put their heads together about who is untouchable, that Rizzo is in a very small group of those players. Santana deflects it over to Cedeno, makes the bare hand try, but can't pick it up cleanly, and Rizzo has an infield hit.
Well, Santana, Ronnie's such a cat off the mound.
It being such a great athlete hurt him here, because if he doesn't deflect this, it's an easy play for Cedeno.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, he's lucky he got that wrist up off that grass instead of landing the full weight of his body on it.
Well, here's a guy that the Cubs would love to unload. They got 2 more years of him on contract.
Well, if they want to trade Soriano, they're going to have to pick up everything that they own for the next 2 years. Although Soriano's been hitting a lot of home runs lately, 15 of them since the 15th of May. That's more than anybody else in the majors or in the National League over that period. And he lines this one at the left for a base hit. Rizzo to second. He'll take the turn and stop right there. So 3 hits from the first 4 batters, and the Cubs have 2 men on. And Santana not looking himself at all early on.
Well, Soriano crouched and on top of the plate. And he's always hacking. You know that. The big leg kick never gets cheated. A man that stole a lot of bases in his career, but at his waning years in the big leagues, he's only got 2 stolen bases this year.
You're right, Keith. At one point, a 5-tool player, really a one-dimensional player now.
He was a 40-40 guy his last year in Washington before the Cubs signed him to that 8-year deal. Here's Jeff Baker playing second base today. Baker hitting at .253. By the way, Reed Johnson with that leadoff home run. Last time Reed Johnson hit a leadoff home run was in 2007, and he hit it against Johan Santana. And now here he is 5 years later, and he's done that again.
Wow.
So Santana trying to find the proper gear here in the first inning, dealing to Baker. And he takes a fastball for a strike. And there's something about Johan's mechanics that just look off right now.
He's a little off. He can't get that ball down and into the right-handers. That is where he likes to live. It sets up his changeup away. But Nikias is setting up inside. He got that called strike on the outside corner.
The last time that I remember Santana looking this way was back in March. He made a start in Jupiter against the Cardinals, and in the first inning, he was just completely out of sync. Gave up 4 or 5 runs in that first inning, then was able to right himself and pitched pretty well after that. But it was the one time when mechanically he just couldn't get out of his own way.
The whole key for him is he likes to stay closed with that right shoulder. That gets him down and into the righties.
And he gets Baker to chase a pitch out of the strike zone for the second out of the inning.
That's a guess right there by Baker.
Wanted to pitch in. Came on the other side of the plate. Oh, that was not even close.
Looking for a changeup.
That is like dial it up 5 notches.
And you see his motion. What happens with Johan, if he opens up that front side too much, one of the things you were talking about in Jupiter and it happened in Atlanta, the ball is elevated on his fastball, and that's not where he wants to be. He wants to be around the knees.
So 2 out and 2 on. Now Giovanni Soto, who's having a very rough year. Soto just at 167. He's got 6 home runs, but how about 6 home runs and 10 RBIs?
Yeah. How about 2 for 26 with runners in scoring position?
Yeah, that's 077. Rizzo at second, Soriano at first. Santana will be thrilled if he can get out of this inning with only 1 run scoring. The ball and a strike to Soto, former National League Rookie of the Year. Missed a month because of some knee problems.
Well, you remember his second year after the Rookie of the Year season, he came in overweight, out of shape, and he's never really got back to form. He's in good shape now, but that's kind of inexcusable. What they used to say, Ronnie, would you go on the banquet circuit?
That's right. I was thinking the same thing.
That's right.
Well, when you win a big award, everybody wants to celebrate you.
That's right. So for the folks that don't know, the banquet circuit is your Rookie of the Year, MVP, Cy Young. You have to go to all the writers' meetings, dinners, awards dinners around the country. So that's the joke there.
And they don't usually serve locale options at those dinners.
Yes.
Rubber chicken and some green beans.
Lots of cerveza.
Yeah.
And vino, if you so desire.
And a very nice rich dessert. Maybe the chocolate marquis.
That's right.
2 out, 2 on, 2-2 to Giovanni Soto. And he popped it up. Duda coming on. He gets there. Side retired. So Santana able to limit the damage in the opening inning. Reed Johnson with the leadoff home run, but the Cubs strand 2. Mets come to bat down 1-0. Terry Collins getting every available right-handed bat in there tonight against Travis Wood. Andres Torres not available for the second straight night because of some back issues. However, they don't feel they'll have to put Torres in the DL. Nonetheless, that means an extra left-handed bat in against Travis Wood, who's been deaf to lefties this year.
Well, he has. He's been outstanding. They batting around 100 against left-handers. See 115. That's why those right-handed hitters are in there. He doesn't strike out a lot of guys. Usually when he's at his best, he's getting a lot of ground balls.
He's thrown 18 2/3 consecutive scoreless innings coming into this start. First man up, Ruben Tejada, and Tejada takes ball 1. Ruben 1 for 4 last night, had that great 9th inning at bat that helped fuel the Mets' winning rally against the Phillies.
I don't think Ruben had a bad at bat the entire night. He had 5 plate appearances, and they were all quality.
Well, he's age 22, but at bat to at bat, he seems to have figured out plate discipline well beyond his years.
Well, he's got a short bat, which is a good idea. He's not trying to hit the ball in the air. We're just going over and over again. The game hasn't changed. He's got to hit line drives, ground balls. He's got a good eye at the plate.
Well, there's an idea right there. It's a 2-0. You know you're going to get a fastball. He's leading off the game. He takes a pitch.
Exactly.
See the numbers against lefties. His overall on base percentage .381, and you love that in the leadoff spot. And he lofts that one out to left where Soriano is waiting. And that's the first out.
Take a look at the Coors Light Chicago Cubs defense. First start at shortstop for Barney this year. They're giving the other Starling Castro a rest. And Joe Mather, gosh, that's the old Cardinal out in center field. My goodness.
Barney did play shortstop though in that 17-1 Mets win. Third game of that series in Chicago.
Here's Ronnie Cedeno playing second base tonight to get the right-hand bat in the lineup. Only the fourth time Cedeno started at second base this year. And Wood misses outside, ball one. Ronnie's hitting .323 against lefties, so Terry Collins doing everything he can to beef up the batting order against left-handed pitching. And you know, if the Mets are going to be a contending team this year and play important games down the stretch, there's going to come a time when teams are going to rejigger their rotation so that they will send as many lefties against the Mets as possible. Mets are 12-19 this year when a lefty starts against them. 1-2 to Cedeno.
Also, they're going to maybe bring people up and be like the Philadelphia Phillies did, have 3 or 4 left-handers in their bullpen, or at least 2.
Well, when you get down to September, when rosters expand, you get in a pennant race, you can see a lefty every day. Grounded down to third, and Luis Valbuena gives ground and throws out Cedeno, 2 down. So 2 out and nobody on, and now last night's hero, David Wright. I said last night's hero. He's been the hero for 83 games now.
Well, he had a fine game last night, and that was just that one at bat. Not the last at bat. The base hit that he got off of Hamels early, where it was got into a 3-2 count, was just as fine an at bat as you're ever going to see.
I like that, really, with a W.
Yeah.
And David grounds one down to Valbuena. And so Travis Wood makes quick work of the Mets. 9-pitch inning. 1-0 Cubs after 1. AT&T trivia question: who was the first Mets player to start in an All-Star game?
We're doing it early, I guess. Our producer's got one foot on the bus.
He was an answer this week, wasn't he, to one of our trivia questions? First Met to start in an All-Star game? Maybe not. Maybe not.
I know the answer, but I'm not going to.
Okay. Well,
I'm not going to blurt. Keith, would you like to blurt?
No, I'm not going to blurt.
Good job. Joe Mather leads off in the second inning. Mather playing center field tonight against the left-hander, and he takes Lone away for ball one. Mather hitting at .236. He has a home run in his career against Santana. Did that in Chicago when the Mets faced the Cubs a week and a half ago.
A 2-run shot.
In fact, those were the only 2 runs against Santana in that game. It was the game where the Mets then made 3 errors with John Roush on the mound, and the Cubs wound up winning 6-1.
Was that 4 unearned runs?
Without a hit.
Without a hit.
That's hard to do.
Yeah.
Here's the first really good changeup from Santana. 2-1. You know, it's amazing with great pitchers the way they're able to self-correct.
Well, what happens is at this level, everyone can self-correct. The great ones do it in 2 or 3 pitches.
Newman Heiss grabs Mather's fly ball for the first out.
The bad ones take 2 or 3 starts. You see his motion. The great thing is he takes the ball immediately behind his head, cocks it behind his left ear, and you see those shoulders so level. And he's so great at getting that ball and releasing it in front of his face. Totally open, pushing off, using those legs. And watch, see that front leg? It's really a stiff front leg, and his foot comes off the ground. So Santana, even though he's only 6 foot tall, maybe 5'11", he pitches more like a 6'2" guy because of the way he catapults over that stiff front leg.
How unusual is that he would at one point during that delivery have both feet off the ground?
It's like when they used to have in the National Geographic the horse races where all their legs would be off the ground. It's same way. You don't see that very often. Seaver used to do it.
Luis Valbuena, now the everyday third baseman for the Cubs. Ian Stewart apparently out for the year now. Going to require wrist surgery. And Valbuena, who looked awfully good swinging the bat, not so great play in the field against the Mets in Chicago, now holding down that spot.
Well, he's already made 5 errors. He hasn't been up very long. 20 games, 5 errors.
Former Cleveland Indian. And he takes a changeup for a strike. 2-2.
You know who used to recoil in his follow through was Koufax.
Yes.
Koufax was violent.
Travis Wood, one of the better hitting pitchers in the game, waiting on deck.
Jerry Kuzman would do it. You saw Seaver pitch so many times, Gary. The time he would really do it, he used to bounce that knee off the ground, his back leg, and that would lift his leg off the ground in front, and then he would skip and hop into his motion when he let the ball go. It's unbelievable.
He was so low to the ground. Cedeno gets in front of the ground ball and throws out Valbuena for the second out. That drop and drive pitching mentality.
Kuzman, I faced them both. Kuzman seen from my eye at the plate, which was like looking down the barrel of a gun. Kuzman got lower than Seaver. He got lower than Seaver.
And he's a much bigger man than Tom.
At least that was my perception.
Here's Wood, 5 for 15 on the year.
How many times you start out a pitcher with a slider or a changeup or off-speed pitch, but that's what Santana did to Wood.
Wood's got a couple of home runs in his career. Started out this year in the minor leagues in his second stint with the Cubs, and it's like they may have found something now.
Well, they're hoping.
Well, it goes without saying, 20 games under 500, they need a spark. They've gotten one from Rizzo offensively. Wood has certainly provided that on the mound, and they should get another spark on Sunday because they're going to get Ryan Dempster, their best pitcher, back from the disabled list.
Might only have him for a month.
Well, that could be true with anybody on this club. I mean, the Cubs are definitely going to be sellers, and once you get past Rizzo and Castro and maybe Jeff Samardzija, I can't imagine who else is not for sale on this club. As they try to restock with young talent, it's going to be a very interesting deadline this year. Swing and a miss. Wood is out on strike. Second strikeout for Santana. So he settles back in with a 1-2-3 inning. That's come to bat with Hairston, the lefty buster, to lead off at the bottom of the second, down 1-0. There are your National League Central standings, and the very surprising Pirates, 10 games over 500 for the first time in 20 years, sitting on top. The Cubs, despite winning 7 of their last 10, sitting at the bottom. How about those Buccos?
That's a great story, isn't it?
When we saw the Pirates, they were not only a poor offensive team, they were an historically bad offensive team. They were threatening records that had stood for 100 years. But over the last 6 weeks, all of a sudden, their offense has been thriving.
And their starting pitching has been strong. James McDonald hasn't been as good as he was early in the year, but still good.
Up 1-0 against Barry Zito and the Giants tonight. The Giants, losers of 3 in a row, have fallen back out of first place. And the Dodgers have regained that lead. But the Dodgers suffered another blow. Their shortstop D. Gordon's going to be out 6 weeks with thumb surgery. Scott Hairston leads off in the home second against Travis Wood. Another left-hander for Scott to feast on.
D. Gordon injured that thumb on the steal, right, of third base. David Wright applied the tag and jammed it in going into the base.
Hairston the last 2 nights has homered against Cliff Lee, and Cole Hamels gets a breaking ball and hits one of the hole at short. Barney has to make the long throw on target to get Hairston one away. Darwin Barney starting at shortstop for the first time this year, and that's not the easiest of plays for a guy who doesn't play there regularly.
I will say, though, he's probably the opposite of Starlin Castro. Might not have as much talent, but he's been taught correctly. He's on it every single pitch. Castro's just got so much ability.
Dale Swaim said he wanted Castro to sit next to him, or in this case stand next to him, the entire game to observe, talk about situations. And there he is.
That's the old saying was, stay on the bench when the veterans come up to you. Watch the game. You might learn something.
That's right.
Lucas Duda, just 5 for his last 35. And Wood falls behind him 2-0. Of all the Met left-hand hitters, Duda has been the guy who's been left in the lineup most often against left-hand pitching. And while he did okay against lefties early in the season, that's kind of fizzled. He's down to .216 against left-handers now.
Well, he's mired in the last 10, in a little bit of a slump here, and 5 for 35 his last 10 games. And a lot of swings and misses.
You know what's interesting? We were talking about Ike Davis early in the year. Remember, he got all those curveballs that he was letting go, and he never attempted. Well, Lucas, I don't know if it's a blind spot or he's just not seeing it. They're throwing that fastball in the outside corner, and they're making good pitches now, but it's like he's having a hard time pulling the trigger.
Sometimes in his swing, Ryan, I don't know if he's overstriding, but it looks like he dips, which means to me is that he lowers his body. So if your body lowers because of your stride, well, your bat level on your swing is going to lower with it. He's been under a lot of pitches.
And your head's going to move, right?
Yep. 3-2 coming from Wood. And Duda socks one to deep right center. Back goes Johnson to the track. Near the wall. It's out of here. Lucas Duda ties the game with his 12th home run of the year. That'll get you out of a slump.
Well, that'll show me. So I'm saying that he had a blind spot. Looks like he couldn't pull the trigger on those outside fastballs. Well, he certainly did there.
Well, we've always said this is a resilient bunch, and Lucas has been mired in a slump, and they keep going up there and taking their hacks. This is a fastball right down the middle wheelhouse. A little away, had to reach for it, but he didn't get under it, obviously. He got more of the barrel of the bat on it. And like I said, Gary, he has got to be a guy belt and down. He's got to cover it. That is his power zone. And he's so strong, there's not a park that can hold him.
12 home runs. That ties it with Hairston now for the club lead. Justin Turner takes a strike. Well, we were talking to Terry Collins yesterday about Duda and the fact that he'd been walking so much. 38 walks this year, among the top 10 in the league going into yesterday's game. And Terry said, well, you know, I like the walks. We're a team that values walks, but Lucas is a hitter that needs to do damage.
Right.
And if he has the walks with the damage, then I'm happy. And there was your damage. Turner, surprisingly, has struggled against lefties this year, hitting just 192. David Wright's been squeezing that clay ever since he fractured his pinky.
Yep.
Back in the early portion of the season.
It's one of those things that they give you in the off season. When I broke my thumb, every day of watching TV or whatever, I would just be manipulating that thing to strengthen your hand.
Off the big toe.
Just thinking back to David fracturing that pinky, diving into first base. What did he miss? 2 days. He came back in Philadelphia and hit a home run his first time up, and nobody talked about the pinky ever again. It's amazing the turning points that some seasons will take. Toward the right side hole, Baker can't make the play cleanly, and Turner's aboard. And Jeff Baker starting his first game at his natural position of second base this year and couldn't handle it.
Nope. A little loose with the glove. Didn't get it down in time. A little tardy.
They'll give Turner credit for a base hit.
Thank you very much. Those weren't base hits with Red Foley was the official score here. Wow.
I miss Red.
He was a good guy.
I miss Bill Shannon.
Yeah.
Those were great old baseball observers who you could learn so much from.
Yes.
Here's Mike Nickius.
I used to needle Red and go, gosh, Red, come on. He had this real wrinkled face, and he was real acerbic. And,
be a home book one time, right?
Just like, gosh, almighty, you're going to give me a hit once?
The New York guys were so proud of being fair. Wonder how many MVPs they cost guys over the years. Right. Because the other scorers in the other cities might have tended in a different direction. 1-1 to Mike Nickius, who's hitting 176 on the year. And Mike takes the cutter off the plate, 2-1.
This is not the same Travis Wood we saw in Chicago, Keith. Gary and I saw a guy that was just strike after strike after strike. He has not found it yet early in this game.
Well, he walked only 1 in 7 innings against the Mets that first time. He didn't walk anybody in his last start against Houston in 7 2/3, but his overall numbers this year tell a somewhat different story. A guy who can be vulnerable to the walk at times.
Well, he's not a hard thrower, as you can see. Tops out around 89 miles an hour.
Most left-handers are on the third base side of that mound, not Travis Wood, who's on the first base side, and he is so closed it almost looks like he's going to pitch to Anthony Rizzo at first base.
Nicky has lifts one out to right center, and Joe Mather glides over. So that's the second out. Well, let me ask you this, Ronnie. We get the pitch breakdowns from the folks at Bloomberg before every start.
Yeah.
And in his last outing, Travis Wood, according to those numbers, threw his cutter 49% of the time. Can that kind of over-reliance on a pitch like the cutter take something off your fastball?
Well, not only take something off your fastball, but also Travis Wood, when he's at his best. Now, obviously, the cutter was working against Houston. But to me, when he's at his best, he's sinking that fastball down and away from righties. And if you're cutting it all the time, it takes away from the sinker.
You see, those numbers have been awesome lately as he throws a curveball that misses to Kirk Neuenhuis. Wood had gone 19 2/3 consecutive scoreless innings before giving up the home run to Duda here in the second.
This is a left-handed pitcher, and I know that Neuenhuis has struggled against lefties. There's Lucas. But this is a guy that he should hit because he doesn't have the 92, 93 mile an hour fastball.
You notice that Neuenhuis got his front shoulder tucked a little more. We've noticed he's open in his stance, Gare, and he's open with his shoulder too. And most guys that are open will when they stride towards the pitcher. He's been pulling off, and then his only thing that's left with his shoulders flying out is flailing.
Holds the swing in time. Dana DeMuth with the call. Neuenhuis just 5 for his last 35. That's the same number that Duda had going into his at bat. Perhaps that bodes well for Kirk. Problem for Kirk has been those strikeouts, especially during this latest stretch, striking out more than half the time.
Well, what Kirk has to do against the left-handers is, look, I would tell him, don't worry. I want you to go up the middle. I want you to drive at the pitcher. And if he jams you on an inside fastball, so what? Everybody gets jammed. They've been getting you out of the way. And you're not going to touch it if you're pulling off.
Pops this one foul. And that'll go out of play. 2-2. Nice grab with the hat. Hard to catch a ball with a hat. Johan Santana waiting on deck. Now the 2-2 to Neuenhuis. And he lifts this one out to center, and Mather is right there. And that retires the side, but the Mets get even. Lucas Duda with his 12th home run of the year. Gets a 3-2 pitch he can handle from Travis Wood and hits it out to right center. Mets and Cubs even. 1-1 after 2. Question. First Mets starting All-Star was Ron Hunt.
Oh, wow. It's my first roommate for the Cardinals.
He's still living in the St. Louis area, isn't he?
Wentzville has a farm out there.
Fans vote then? 64?
No, that was not the fans' vote. If you remember, after the Reds fans stuffed the ballot box in '57, fans had the vote taken away until I think 1970. Reed Johnson leads off and swings at a changeup after hitting a home run his first time up on a fastball.
They're download stuffing now.
I'll tell you what, you can decry the inequity all you want, but the Giant fans did a heck of a job.
They did.
I mean, the voting in of Sandoval's not the only place that the fans might have gotten it wrong. Dan Uggla being the starting second baseman, probably not the best pick. Johnson hits another one out to left field. Hairston going back to the track near the wall, leaping, but he can't get it. And Johnson flying to second takes the turn there and holds on with a double. So Johnson, who homered to lead off the game, nearly had another one. Hairston a chance for a leaping grab, but he just came up short.
Well, fearless against the wall, just out of his reach. And I got to wonder whether Johnson was hustling off the bat, because this ball caroms off the fence, off that grating there. And I thought he could have had 3 with the way that ball bounced strongly towards shortstop.
Well, Johnson may not be as fast as he once was, but he can still go. And he can certainly hit against Santana.
Right.
Well, he didn't have a great game against him in Chicago, but he's making up for that tonight. Home run and a double. Now Darwin Barney showing bunt.
Well, it's very interesting. You got a novice kind of first baseman in Turner, but you've got as good of a fielding pitcher in baseball on the mound.
Remember, Turner had that play in Los Angeles in that Sunday night game that he didn't handle well.
Well, it's not his position, and it's not an easy spot to play.
Well, you remember that play Sunday night, though. What never gets mentioned is the fact that Dylan G didn't cover first base.
Yeah, we would have nowhere to go.
Santana behind on Barney, 2-0. And he will not throw a 2-0 fastball.
Not to young hitters.
You know, when those Marlins were 2 or 3 years ago, when they were a little younger, of course, he used to always dominate them because he would, every time it was a fastball count, throw a changeup.
And Barney again up there to bunt, fouls it off. That's surprising, don't you think?
20 games under 500 in last place, and you got your young players out there. Let them swing the bat.
See if they can play, right?
Let them get experience off Santana. They're going to face him next year, and the year after, and so forth.
The swing doesn't look too happy. So you know how a lot of players today bunt on their own. We saw it with Luis Castillo for how many seasons?
Well, either upset with the decision by Barney or upset with the execution by Barney. Now it's 2-2. No chance he'll be bunting. With Johnson at second and nobody out. And Barney takes a rip and strikes out on the changeup. Third strikeout for Santana.
Well, not a very, not his best changeup, but the speed gets him. And a big swing there with 2 strikes by Barney in a situation where he should be at least trying to move the runner along. Push the ball to the right side. A Ruthian swing.
Like a slider coming out of his hand. Not a changeup.
Like a backup slider, maybe.
So 1 out. Johnson still at second. Here's Anthony Rizzo, who caromed an infield hit off Santana's glove back in the first inning. When Rizzo came up with the Padres last year, he was holding his hands very high. Not quite Yastrzemski high, but very high. And they have completely altered his stance at the plate. Look how low his hands are now.
A lot of wavering of that bat. but he gets it set.
Yeah, he does get it set, and I think having those hands down low for me, and watching him last year struggle, it just seems like his hands more relaxed in that position than they were as he held them up high and had to hold them in that position.
Well, it made his swing very long.
Yeah.
Well, when they're up high, they got to come down. Another, much like Ike Davis, held his hands up way high and they lowered him in spring training.
And this guy has a chance, though. He has got a serious shortcut for a big man.
70 games this year in the minor leagues, 23 homers, 62 RBIs, a 342 average at Iowa.
That'll get you in the big leagues.
Won't it?
Now the 1-2. Line the other way. Foul.
Has the ability to kind of cut and slash, too, I noticed.
Yeah,
in this area.
right.
Chicago to go the other way.
That's why he's batting 342, too. I don't know Iowa. Is it a good park to hit in? Do you know?
Des Moines, I haven't been there in
Yeah,
ages. I don't know if they've got a new ballpark.
They have to.
That was the old White Sox organization when I was playing
You
down
played
there.
when it was the Field of Dreams, right?
Oh,
Cornfield.
geez. Des Moines, too. Jeez. Hotel Fort Des Moines.
I just remember in the ballpark that they had when I did a few games there in 1988. Every time an Iowa player would hit a home run, there was a horn that sounded like a siren.
Yeah.
And the radio equipment I had at the time, every time the siren went off, we'd go off the air. Swing and a miss. And Santana with back-to-back strikeouts as he gets Rizzo with the slider.
Well, that's been his best pitch so far. Good slider down and away by Santana. You're so zoned into fastball, changeup. When you catch that slider, even if it's just occasionally, it can fool the hitter.
Back-to-back strikeouts for Johan after the leadoff double by Johnson, and now Soriano, who's single to left his first time up.
You notice that Rizzo is also a toe tapper, front foot toe tapper like David Wright.
The hit for Soriano his first time up was just his third in 17 career at bats against Santana. And he takes a fastball for a letter high strike, 0-2.
Very curious. 0-1. And he was taking all the way running. I don't understand that. Now you're 0-2.
Struck him out. Santana with 3 straight strikeouts after the Johnson double. And he strands Johnson right where he was. Still 1-1. Minor League Report with an in-depth feature on Mets pitching prospect Matt Harvey. Check it out now only on SNY.TV, your online home of all things New York sports.
Wheeler threw another gem last night, didn't he? 7 1/3 maybe, as he's gone to 8 4 this season.
Wonder if he's due for a promotion sometime soon. Johan Santana leads off in the home 3rd inning. And takes a strike from Travis Wood. Santana with just 3 hits and 29 at-bats this year. Not his best offensive season so far. Ruben Tejada, Ronnie Cedeno to follow. Now the 1-2 from Wood, and Santana goes down on strikes. First strikeout for Travis Wood. Ruben Tejada coming up. Eamon McInerney is standing by with a big Mets fan. Eamon.
Oh, absolutely. Gary, acclaimed actor and Queens native John Leguizamo joining us here. And, you know, you grew up a huge Mets fan. What has fired you up the most so far about the way this team's playing for Terry Collins this year?
Well, it's got to be the no-hitter Santana. That just was like a wake-up call. It was like, oh, my God, it's possible. Everything's possible. Believe it.
Now, have you bought in? Are you believing so far right now, right before the All-Star break?
Yeah, it's going good so far. It's 1-1. Santana just struck out a dude. You know, it was great. It's all possible.
I want to get a little fashion review here. What do you think of the Mets uniforms here on Hispanic Heritage Night, Los Mets? What's your review?
They spelled it correctly, so that's a point right there. I like the vibrant colors. You know, we Latin people like vibrant colors. It looks like a winning uniform.
Now, before we let you go, you get a chance to relax on this Friday because next Friday, very busy for you. 2 releases going on. What's going on in your life next week?
Next week is going to be the release of Ice Age 4. Oh, almost got a foul ball there. Oh, somebody got hit, but they broke the glass. Yeah, Ice Age 4 is coming out. And this was really funny because Wanda Sykes plays my grandmom and Joy Behar plays my mom. It's a crazy, dysfunctional animated family. And this time, Ray Romano, Dennis Leary, and I, we get taken hostage by pirates. And with Jennifer Lopez, and it's really, Drake is in it, and Nicki Minaj. It's really funny.
You, Ray Romano, and Dennis Leary. That sounds like a movie just in itself right there.
The best 3 New York comics ever, man. United in animated cartoon. It's great.
All right, John, thanks a lot for your time. We appreciate it. Good luck next Friday. Enjoy the rest of the game. Gary, back up to you.
All right, thanks very much, Eamon. He's a very talented guy, Mr. Leguizamo.
Just have to correct one thing, Dennis Leary, St. Peter's High School, Worcester, Mass. Just one thing.
Yeah, I've seen him on a Red Sox broadcast, by the way.
That's
He almost got them thrown off the air. 2-2 to Tejada with 1 out. And a full count. Ruben flying out to left his first time. I was just trying to think back to the one-man show I saw John Leguizamo do a number of years back, but I can't say anything about it.
Yeah.
There's not one thing from that show that I can talk about on the air.
You have to see for yourself.
Tejada's on with a 1-out walk. First walk given up by Wood.
The great part about John is that he is so talented, but if you ever see his one-man show, he has the ability to play New York characters that we all know.
Of every age, race, and sex.
Yes.
1 out and 1 on. Now Ronnie Cedeno grounded to third his first time, and he takes a strike. Tejada not much of a threat to run. He's only tried it twice this year and made it once.
But you know, as a left-hand pitcher, you can always sneak one. You can take a chance he's not throwing over. And Woods, with the young pitcher he is thrown over enough to keep runners honest thus far in the game.
Cedeno drives one deep left field. Soriano back, and it's off the wall and caroming away. Santana will enable Tejada to turn third and head on in with a go-ahead run. Cedeno puts the Mets in front with an RBI double. It's 2-1 New York.
Well, Terry Collins going with a couple reserve players today, and it pays off right here. Cedeno, you got to have this if you're going to have a winning season. You guys off the bench, you got to keep them fresh.
If you're Chicago or Pittsburgh, you have no shot at getting Ronnie Cedeno out.
He hits against his old teams, doesn't he? Cedeno's fourth double, his 8th RBI of the season. And when that ball took that carom away from Soriano, Tejada knew he was going to be able to come on in from first base. So the Mets have a 2-1 lead. Now David Wright, who grounded out to third his first at bat. And for the second straight at bat, he takes a rip at the first one and fouls it off. David began the night 4th in the National League in batting average. And with his recent RBI barrage, 17 in his last 8 games, he's now tied for second in the league in runs batted in with 59. Cedeno at second and 1 out. And Wood comes inside, as all the left-handers have been doing lately, to David. 17 RBIs in an 8-game stretch. That's the most productive 8-game stretch of David's career. Getting ready to go to his 6th All-Star game next week. Cedeno will have to hold on the grounder to Barney, and Wright retired for the second out.
And all that production from David, Gary, and he's not trying to hit home runs. So there you go.
Now Scott Hairston coming up. Speaking of home runs, in Washington tonight, Tyler Colvin has homered twice against Steven Strasburg, and the Rockies lead the Nationals 3-0 in the 4th.
He had 166 innings yet.
Getting close.
Okay.
And the Nationals got won 4 in a row. They've been raging hot, 7 of their last 10.
Now their pitching's been spectacular all year, but now they are starting to score big numbers every day. Here's Hairston, and he takes a strike. Nationals winning yesterday on a botched double play by the Giants in the bottom of the 9th.
And I think it coincides, the Nationals offense, with Ryan Zimmerman starting to hit. He's the leader of that club.
Michael Morris come off the DL, was slow starting. He's hitting.
And I think those two things are connected. Zimmerman started hitting when Morris came back. Hairston, it's a rocket, and caught by Valbuena. What a play. Might have been a foul ball, but nonetheless an outstanding grab by Valbuena. A step and a dive, and he snagged it in the webbing. Full out. Mets take the lead on Cedeno's double and lead it 2-1. contract. Will he hold out again? Plus Sanchez or Tebow. The crew weighs in on which quarterback is the best fit to start for the Jets on Jets Nation. As it's hit to center field off the bat of Jeff Baker, chasing Neuenhuis back near the track, and it's one hop to the wall. Jeff Baker on his way to second, and he's in standing with a leadoff double. Second straight inning that the Cubs have led off with a double against Santana.
Well, he's trying to come in with that fastball down and in. He did get it down, but it was more the middle. Not an awful pitch, but Baker went down and got it, and no chance for Neuenhuis to get there on that line drive. You don't usually see right-handed hitters have the ability to lift that baseball.
Well, the leadoff hitter has been troubling for Santana tonight. Leadoff homer by Johnson in the first, leadoff double by Johnson in the third. Now a leadoff double for Baker. Here's Giovanni Soto. Change up for a strike.
Soto's in the same position that Darwin Barney was in. You can see in between innings Dale Swain talking to Barney. I'm sure it's got to be about that option of bunting or hitting away. I would think the failure to get the bunt, he's talking about hitting the ball the other way to get the guy over.
Soto flying to right his first time, but he pulls this one through the hole into left for a hit. Baker held up. He'll stop at third. And so the Cubs, down by a run, have the table set first and third and nobody out.
Well, the Cubs attacking Santana early in the count, Ronnie, on the fastballs here.
They don't want to get to the changeup, and that's a smart way to go.
And this, go ahead, Ron.
No, I was just going to say, sorry, Keith, this is a little bit like the R.A. Dickey game last night. Just lots of hits, lots of base runners.
This is a Cub team that is last in walks in the National League, 15th in on-base percentage. So they're the same old Cubs. They're hackers.
And they're also the worst hitting team against left-hand pitching in baseball. There's James Rosen, the hitting coach for the Cubs. Cubs are hitting just .219 as a team against lefties, and they are 6-18 this year when a lefty starts against them. But one of those wins was Santana's game a week and a half ago. So now Joe Mather, first and third and nobody out. Mets will play for the double play up the middle, concede the tying run on a ground ball. And Mather takes a changeup for a strike. Mather flying to center his first time up.
One thing that's changed, Keith, for Santana this year, when he would get in trouble past year, especially when he first came to the Mets, he would go straight to the fastball and power his way through innings. Just the opposite now. Usually goes to the changeup, secondary pitches.
Mather hits it to shallow center. Baker tagging at third. Neuenhuis under it. Baker's going to come. The throw by Neuenhuis cut off. Throw to second by Turner. He throws to the wrong man. And arriving safely is Soto. Tejada was covering the bag, but Turner threw it to Cedeno. And Soto able to arrive safely. The Cubs tie the game on the sacrifice fly.
And this ball was not hit that deep. Neuenhuis, a poor job of getting under it. And you're right, throwing it to the wrong man. And there's the inexperience. And it just seems like whenever Turner gets to first base, something happens defensively. But this is not. He had plenty of time, Neuenhuis, to get behind the ball and get momentum coming forward. He did everything wrong there in catching that fly ball.
So now it's a tie ball game. Luis Valbuena pops up the first pitch he sees. Who's going to play it? It's Turner for the second out. Well, by all rights for Santana, the inning should be over. He should be in the dugout and facing the pitcher to lead off the next inning.
And really bad base running, too, by Soto. Yeah. Even thinking about going to second base. The only time you advance, Gare, is when you know the throw is over the cutoff man's head.
So now 2 out. Soto still at second, and Wood, who struck out his first time up, tries to get that lead run in. And foul tips one, 0-1. Mets are playing awfully shallow in the outfield against Wood, who has got extra base power.
Too shallow for Wood.
5 hits, 3 doubles.
And we saw him hit a triple when he faced the Mets while playing for the Reds.
You got Soto, who is a load at second base, does not run that great. You don't want anything over your head. Anything in front of you, you're probably going to have a chance to have a play at the plate.
Santana's thrown 14 straight strikes. And number 15 gets him ahead of Wood, 0-2. Johannes struck out 5 tonight. He is standing up to field that fastball. 1-2.
Well, they struck Wood out twice in his last game against Santana on similar pitches up and away. That probably was a show pitch. If he went after it, fine. If he doesn't, now you throw a changeup in the dirt.
Wood pops it up. Turner back. Cedeno across. Duda in. And Duda makes the basket catch at the last moment. That had trouble written all over it. But Duda able to make the grab and keep that go-ahead run from scoring.
The second time in his career, Seaver was only 3 outs away from perfection. The first out was easy enough. Leron Lee was next. Lee's single to center halted the no-hit effort. Seaver induced Colbert to ground into a game-ending double play to preserve the shutout and the 4th one-hitter of his career.
40 years ago Wednesday.
Hang with him, Tommy.
One of the 3 times in Seaver's Mets career that he carried a no-hit bid into the 9th, only to have it broken up. In that case by Leron Lee.
Nate Colbert was an awesome little power hitter.
Oh, for a San Diego team that didn't have a whole lot else, there was Cito Gaston and Nate Colbert.
That was it.
Lucas Duda got the Mets started with a home run in the second. Hits the first pitch from Travis Wood out to center field. And Joe Mather eases in. 1 pitch and 1 out.
If I remember correctly, Nate Colbert held his bat horizontal to the ground, parallel to the ground. He held it flat, and boy, was he a high ball hitter. I saw him hit 2 bombs on opening day against the Giants. I forget what year.
Like Rod Carew, like with the bat?
No.
Okay.
Over his shoulder, but flat.
Okay. Oh, okay.
But parallel to the ground. And he was a big, strong guy.
He once hit 5 home runs in a doubleheader. Not too many guys have done that. Here's Justin Turner, who got credit for an infield hit, a ball off Jeff Baker's glove his first time up, and takes a strike from Travis Wood. That's got a run in the second on Duda's home run, a run in the third on Ronnie Cedeno's RBI double. Mets have had just 3 hits. And a curveball for a strike from Wood, 0-2.
This is more like the Wood we saw in Chicago. Throwing all of his pitches for strikes, mixing it up, pitching to both sides of the plate.
Hit sharply and right through the box for a base hit for Turner, and Justin is 2 for 2. So Turner behind in the count, bangs one up the middle.
Not much on this 0-2 pitch, right down the middle.
Well, the 2 reserve players in here, 3 for 4.
Talking about Turner and Cedeno. So 1 out and 1 on. Now Mike Nickius, who flying to center his first trip. Good pitchers duel going in Philadelphia tonight. Tim Hudson and Kyle Kendrick. Phillies and Braves, no score in the bottom of the 6th. Braves have only 2 hits. The Phillies have only 1.
Ryan Howard's in that lineup, isn't he?
He is off the disabled list and back in there for the first time since he made the last out of the season for the Phillies in the division series against the Cardinals last year.
With all the talk that Charlie Manuel said in the series here, the last series, about you got 2 weeks here to figure out which direction we're going, to lose that game last night in that fashion, that's a devastating loss.
There have been very few things that the Phillies could count on this year, but 2 of them were Cole Hamels and Jonathan Papelbon, and they lost last night in a game that Hamels started and Papelbon tried to finish.
Well, he finished. I tell you what, that was an impressive bottom of the 9th put on by the Met offense.
Wood behind on Nickius 2-0. Runner goes. The throw by Soto in plenty of time, and Turner is out. So the Mets play hit and run on a 2-0 pitch to Nickius, and that didn't work.
And a pitch to hit too upstairs, just swung and missed, and dead as a doornail, as we would say.
Looks like he mistagged him, and Turner went around with his foot.
You know, when you got a left-hander out there from the stretch, a hit and run, you're going to get thrown out a lot further because you're not going to get picked off.
Yeah.
Well, and it's also the problem when you play hit and run with a team that doesn't have a lot of speed. I mean, let's face it, Justin Turner is not a base stealer. And the Mets have very few of those. The one that they do have is laid up with a back injury right now. And that's Andres Torres. 3-1 now to Nickius with 2 out and nobody on. And Mike watches wide ball 4, and Wood has issued his second walk. So after walking only 1 in his last 2 starts combined, Wood issues his second walk of this game. And Kirk Nieuwenhuis will take a shot at him. Nieuwenhuis flied to center his first time up.
Nothing new to report on Andres Torres. Terry Collins said he's day-to-day right now.
The Mets don't think that they'll require the disabled list, at least not right now, although he hasn't gotten much better. Mets are playing with an extra position player on their bench anyway right now, going with 11 pitchers, 6 reserves. We'll do that until the All-Star break. 0-2 to Nieuwenhuis. This is the 4th time tonight that Wood has gone to an 0-2 count against a Met batter. The first 3 times that player reached base. 2 hits and a walk, including Turner's hit earlier in this inning.
It's the one thing that happens when you have a player like Nieuwenhuis. It's the first time he's really struggled. He's in the batting cage every day working on things, and now he looks a little mechanical, doesn't he?
Yes.
You know?
Lays off the curveball in the dirt. It's 2-2.
I mean, that's what you fight, right? When you work on something, you're fighting what you're natural at against something that's going to make you better.
I guess the question is then how do you get past that?
Yeah. Fighting and scratching, I'll tell you that.
2-2 from Wood, and Nieuwenhuis takes it low. So again, after getting ahead 0-2, Wood dabbling around the strike zone, and Nieuwenhuis works it full with Santana on deck.
Just the Wood looks a little gassed out there, doesn't he?
It's muggy. He's definitely sweating it out there.
It'll be muggier tomorrow. Nickius gets set to run, and Nieuwenhuis pulls one foul. Tomorrow it's supposed to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 98 to 100 degrees.
Wow. All that work that you put in, not the everyday players, because they're sweating it out, working every single night, but for the starting pitchers, and you see the ones for tomorrow, Samardzija and Dylan G.
Of course, G's from Texas. He knows about
That's
hot.
right.
And Nieuwenhuis works out a walk. So 4 times in this game, Wood has gone to an 0-2 count, and each time that player has reached base. Back-to-back 2-out walks here to the number 7 and 8 hitters. And Santana will get a crack to untie this game. Johan struck out his first time.
It's a good chance for Santana, because when you're a pitcher and you walk the hitter after you've gone 0-2, you're going to throw a fastball down the middle.
Yeah, good time to jump on. He's missed with 3 sliders.
Two out and 2 on, and Santana tries to jump that first pitch fastball and fouls it off. Mets have scored 184 2-out runs this year, including 5 last night. It has become their signature. Well, he's 0-2 again.
You know, that 100, those runs right there. Yeah, that's the percentage. I was just going to say that. That is just incredible.
Santana goes down on strikes, so Wood finally finishes the deal. His second strikeout. Mets strand a pair. Still 2-2 after 4. SNY's Super Slow Motion is brought to you by your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Visit them on the web at searchmercedes.com. Johan Santana back to the mound for the 5th inning. In a 2-2 ball game, and he's got to face his nemesis Reed Johnson for the 3rd time. So he's already hit a home run and came within inches of hitting another one. What do you do this time?
What's that make him now? 14, 15?
15 for 30. It's 500 with a couple of home runs.
Someday one of his kids will say, "Hey, Pops, you don't have Santana. He was some kind of pitcher." Not to me, he wasn't. Right? Jeez.
Reed Johnson playing Tommy Hutton to Santana's Tom Seaver.
That's right.
I don't think that Hutton doesn't mention it every time we see him. Top of the batting order for the Cubs, Johnson, Barney, and Rizzo in the 5th. And a fastball up and away for ball 1.
Poor Tommy's got to mention it right now. He doesn't have a lot to talk about down south. Although they're playing much better.
Well, they, they made a big deal and brought in Carlos Lee to play first base. Lee had a couple of hits yesterday in his first game with the Marlins. And one thing about Carlos Lee, he brings a little number past the mound. Santana will cover first, and Turner with a nice toss, but Santana can't make the connection, and Johnson is on base against Santana again.
Swing and bunt here, throw behind him. Tough play for Turner. Nice effort by Santana, and lucky he didn't just break his ankle.
Yep.
Oh my word.
Trying to scrape that right foot across the bag, and Johnson avoided it. Did not touch the bag, but came back quickly to get back to the bag.
Well, Santana in a very bad spot there. And
still might have clipped him enough.
Yeah, the trainer's out to have a look. Wow.
Oh boy, he got him. Yes, he did.
They scored a base hit for Johnson, but much more importantly, the concern for Santana.
He's walking pretty well right now. Trying to tag the base and watch the ball at the same time. See how he's running that right foot over the bag. It's turned over, and he just steps on his left ankle, right ankle.
That could have been ugly.
Think of those Jason Kendall and those kind of injuries that happen at first base. He's all right.
Unfortunately so. I mean, you could easily break your ankle on that play. So Santana's Johnson troubles continue. And now Darwin Barney will step in with the go-ahead run at first. Let's see if Barney's inclined to bunt here. Tried to bunt after Johnson led off third with a double, wound up striking out. There was a time when Johnson had a lot of speed. He's not nearly as fast as he used to be. And Barney takes a big cut at the changeup, 0-1.
Watching this young player last year, I was so impressed. He had a kind of a Tejada swing, the swing that Tejada has right now, but a little different cut now, a lot bigger.
Well, those are the numbers for Santana since they made the trade for him after the 2007 season. Second lowest ERA in the majors since joining the ball club. Never more spectacular than he was at the end of that 2008 season until he threw the no-hitter a month ago.
Oh, he's just got Barney's number. Barney keeps on just chasing that changeup, Ronnie.
He does, but if he did have that fastball in on the right-handed hitters, which he hasn't had all night long, he would get a lot of called third strikes because they're starting to reach out there because he's not coming in as much as you usually see him come in.
Is that because he thinks he's a little short with his fastball?
I don't think he just hasn't found that release point to pinpoint it there, but looks like he's coming in now.
Here's the 0-2. And Barney lines one past Turner and into right field. Johnson around second. He'll go to third. And so the Cubs have runners at the corners with nobody out. Well, he wanted to come inside but didn't get it inside, and Barney shoots one the other way.
Yeah, if he gets it in there, he will freeze him, but the ball is middle away and up.
Precisely. I don't question the pitch. I think it would have been a good pitch. He just didn't execute the location.
And with 2 strikes on a hitter, anything up and away is a danger zone because they're shortening up trying to go the other way.
8 hits now against Santana, and the Cubs are poised to try to regain the lead with Anthony Rizzo at the plate. Rizzo, an infield hit and a strikeout, 1 for 2. This will keep the middle infielders back with first and third and nobody out. And Rizzo hits one to deep right field. Back goes Duda. Looking up near the wall, and it's out of here. Anthony Rizzo with a 3-run homer, his 4th home run of the year, and the Cubs take a 5-2 lead. Now Rizzo, since his call-up, has given life to the Cubs offense, and he hits a big home run to snap a 2-2 tie. A 3-run shot to put the Cubs up 5-2.
Well, very impressive. That's a young man up there. Look at the number he's got, 244. A couple good power hitters had that number. And it's a hanging breaking ball. Oh boy, helicoptage. And right in the wheelhouse. No wasted motion in the take back. Beautiful balance. And Ronnie, you're right. I like his swing.
So after Dickey had a rough night last night, giving up 5 runs and 11 hits in 7 innings, the Mets co-ace Santana having a similarly rough night tonight. Soriano 1 for 2, singled and struck out.
That's the pitch he wanted.
That's the pitch.
That's the pitch. Oh, if it was that easy, Ron.
That's right. He usually lives right on that inside corner in the knees. And it
he strikes
up
out Soriano with the changeup. 6 strikeouts for Santana. That's the first out of the inning. Time Warner Cable helps you enjoy all the things you love better. For more on tonight's game, let's check in with Eamon McEnany. Eamon?
Well, Gary, obviously Anthony Rizzo just delivering the big hit right here against Johan Santana. I had a chance to talk to Dale Swain earlier tonight about what's impressed him so far about the play of the young rookie, and he said his leadership, but also the fact that he pays attention. He's mature, beyond his years for a young guy. He pays attention to every pitch, not just in his at-bats, but in every at-bats, and that's why he's been able to make adjustments. I asked him if he would be nervous at all about Rizzo going up against the team for the second time, so close together. He said he's able to make adjustments because he pays attention to every pitch of the game while he's in there. And I think we saw those adjustments right here on his third at bat.
Well, he didn't get to face Santana in that first series. He was called up the day after Johan pitched, but he was ready for that hanging slider, and he made no mistake with it. And now Santana in a 3-run hole. Ramon Ramirez, first man up in the Mets bullpen. 18 of the last 19 games the Mets have played, their starters gone at least 6 innings. That's driven to deep left field. Looking up near the wall, it's out of here. Jeff Baker with a line drive home run, his third of the year, and it's 6-2 Chicago. And Johan Santana is getting lambasted.
Well, the 3 home runs in this game, reminiscent of that Yankee game. Well, they hit, 3 in a row?
Yeah. 4 total.
High fastball?
No, high change.
High change. Yep. Too much middle.
So Rizzo and Baker both go deep here in the 5th.
Well,
Delay is the fan who caught the home run ball, delivers it back to the grass. What would have happened to Wrigley?
I've never seen that before.
Here's Giovanni Soto. Soto 1 for 2. He's flying to right and single to left. Well, we talked about it at the top of the broadcast tonight. The first time the Mets played the Cubs a week and a half ago, they were coming off a draining emotional series against the Yankees, and they played 2 horrid games and wound up losing 2 out of 3 in the series. Now, after a dramatic win against the Phillies and a series victory last night, they come out tonight against the same Cubs, and they find themselves in a 4-run hole.
Except that hard game in Chicago, the first one Santana pitched, it was a good ball game until late in the game after Santana left. This one, when you have starting pitching that struggles, you don't look very good.
On the same token, a couple miscues, both by Turner, cost runs.
Yep.
But the play to Santana on that led this inning off was a tough one. A tough play for any first baseman.
You also have to wonder, as what's happened since, as Soto finds the gap in left center field. Neuenhuis cuts it off. Soto will stop with a single. You have to wonder, since that play at first base, 4 hits and 5 at bats, is that ankle an issue?
Yeah, that's a good call, Gary. Certainly don't know that, but going on what has happened during the game, he's struggled from the outset.
I just think that Terry Collins is just hoping to get 2 outs, and that's going to get Dan Warthen out, just to give him a little break.
Always reminds me of the story about Bob Gibson was having a tough time one game, and Tim McCarver tells the story. No one will go out and talk to him, and Red Shandies finally went out, and Gibby said, "Where you been, Red? I'm awful today. Please take me out." But no one wanted to go take Gibby out.
Well, usually Gibby would glare them.
That's right.
Chase him away.
Well, he chased McCarver out one time, right? The famous line. The only thing you know about pitching is that it's tough to hit.
I like that Timmy shares those stories. They're great.
11 hits against Santana, a season high. Now Joe Mather, who delivered a sacrifice fly to tie the game in the last inning. Now the Cubs have put up a 4 spot in the 5th to take a 6-2 lead. And Mather pulls one through the hole, a base hit. So the hits just keep on coming. The 6th hit of the inning against Santana.
And I think that's going to be enough here. I think Terry's going to come get him.
Lefty might let him go one more hitter.
He's ready.
He's got to be ready.
Well, Ramirez is ready, that's for sure. He's had plenty of time.
Shouldn't take very long to warm up on a hot night. But Terry will stay with his left-hander against Valbuena, who's grounded to second and popped to first 0 for 2. Still only 1 out of the inning. 4 runs are home and 2 men on. Well, for a team that has lived on its starting pitching, it's rather stunning to see Dickey and Santana struggle on back-to-back nights.
There's still a lot of game left the way this Met Ball Club has played.
Oh, yeah.
4 runs. We're not even halfway through.
I guess the question for me is that the starting pitching has been so good all season long. What if they take a baby step back from how great they've been? Will the offense be there to pick it up?
Well, I think that really speaks to a team that has been living on the edge all year. We've talked how many times about little power, little speed, questionable defense, questionable bullpen. The things that the Mets do well, they have to do well on a regular basis to succeed. And one of those bellwethers is their starting pitching. Oh, and 2 now to Valbuena with the pitcher on deck. And he takes it low. Santana has given up as many as 13 hits in a game in his career. He's given up 12 tonight.
Well, he shut out the Mets here when he was with Minnesota on, I don't know how many hits he gave up. It could have been double digits that night.
Now the 1-2. And he comes to the feet of Valbuena, 2-2.
Not here, of course, but in the other building.
The parking lot.
The Big Shay, as Keith refers to it.
Question for you, Ron. 88 pitches for Santana. Is this 88 pitches a lot more laborious or
this is
than 100 pitches going?
It's like 120 right now.
Okay.
That's what it must feel like.
And the changeup pulled through the hole and a base hit for Valbuena. Soto to third. He's being waved home. Here comes the throw by Duda. It's up the line. Throw to second by Nikias. They've got Valbuena in the rundown. And Turner puts on the tag. No break from Mather, who holds at third. That's the 2nd out of the inning. But Valbuena with an RBI chasing home Soto with the 5th run of the inning, and it's 7-2.
Well, the key here, Lucas overthrows the cutoff man. Nice play by Nikias to come and get that ball. And that enables the rundown. Now, I don't know what Mather was doing over here. Mather just was sitting there in position to break on the rundown. He's the back runner. Watch Nikias come get it. Beautiful. That makes that play, that out possible. But look at Mather down here. He had all the time in the world to make a break. He came down properly. He just didn't froze.
That's all for Santana. He exits after 4 2/3. The call to the bullpen brought to you by Verizon Wireless. Win Mets memorabilia from Verizon at Mets.com/Verizon Sweeps. 7-2 Cubs in the 5th. Ramon Ramirez comes in to face the pitcher Travis Wood.
Ramirez gave up a couple of unearned runs in his last stint 5 days ago in Los Angeles.
Well, he was the big guy in that trade that sent Pagan to the Giants. And it's been a tough year for Ramirez. He's been disappointing this first half of the season.
Had a stint on the disabled list along the way. Wood is the 9th man up in the inning. The Cubs have scored 5 runs on 7 hits here in the 5th inning. Mather at 3rd and 2 out. And Wood takes a strike. Santana gives up 13 hits, which matches a career high in just 4 2/3 innings. No walks. Maybe you should have walked a few. 6 strikeouts, 3 home runs. Bad night at the office for Johan. There's a call strike, 2 2 to Wood. Also got stepped on covering first base when Reed Johnson beat out an infield hit to start this inning. And I am sure that Santana will have that ankle looked at back in the trainer's room. Now the 2-2, and Wood breaks his bat. And Ramirez makes the play to end the inning. But 9 men came to bat for the Cubs, and they score 5. 2 big swings in the inning to break up a tie game. 2 on for Anthony Rizzo. And he clocks one deep for his 4th home run, a 3-run shot. Later, Jeff Baker, his 3rd home run. 7-2 Chicago halfway through. Field. Mets now in a 5-run hole. Some of the Friday night crowd gathered here at Citi Field.
A little bit of the air taken out of the ballpark here with that 5-run 7-hit Cub fifth.
Travis Wood late getting back to the mound after making the final out in that top of the 5th. Now stake to a 5-run lead, and he'll take on the top of the Mets batting order. Tejada, Cedeno, and Wright due up.
A lot of game left.
Tejada has flied to left and drawn a walk. He scored what at the time was the go-ahead run for the Mets in the 3rd. They were up 2-1, but the Cubs tied it in the 4th and then put together that 5-run 5th to knock Santana out of the box. Tejada had an at-bat in the 3rd inning where Wood got ahead of him 0-2, and Tejada wound up working out a walk.
As we've seen him do a lot this season. I really think, Gary, last year, the second half of the year, he kind of started getting it offensively, what he needed to do at the plate.
What has been stunning has been his ability to work from behind in the count. And there's a great stat today about Tejada over the last 2 seasons. When he gets to 2 strikes in the count, his on-base percentage is the 2nd highest in the major leagues. Only Jose Bautista of the Blue Jays has a higher on-base percentage with 2 strikes over the last 2 seasons. And that's quite a tribute to a young player.
Well, it's more impressive with Jose Bautista, who's a power hitter, you know. And this speaks to what Tejada has done. And Tejada's a contact hitter, line drive hitter. He's a table setter.
And now he'll work with 2 strikes again. Ronnie Cedeno on deck, then David Wright for the Mets in the 5th. And there's strike 3 called as Wood puts it on the outside corner and gets Tejada for the first out.
I wonder if Ruben was looking for something. That's a backdoor slider. No, I don't think he was looking. And the backdoor slider always kind of creeps in and tricks you. Starts around an 2 inches outside, and that's borderline too close to take. Pitcher got the call.
So 1 out and nobody on. Now Ronnie Cedeno, who drove in a run with a double off the wall and left in the 3rd inning. And Cedeno takes a strike. We were talking earlier about the fact that the Cubs are going to be sellers at the trading deadline and that virtually anybody is for sale. And I mentioned that it's going to be interesting this year at the trading deadline for 2 reasons. One is that because of the second wild card team, you're going to have potentially fewer sellers and more potential buyers, which should raise the price. Out to right field, and Reed Johnson retreats to get a 2 out, but also that they've changed the rules as far as the compensation you get if you trade for a player mid-season. His contract runs out, you no longer get a draft pick compensation for that player, which makes it a little less attractive for teams to buy the guy with the expiring contract. And I wonder what kind of effect that's going to have on the trade market. We're going to have Sandy Alderson on Sunday, and we'll be sure to ask him that question, because that'll impact some teams. A lot of decisions have been made in the past to acquire a player at the trading deadline, not only to get that player for the stretch drive, but also to get compensated when the season's over.
Compensatory draft picks. One, I think that's a good deal. And then secondly, I think we're going to see stuff happen that we haven't seen before, and that will be, I think, some teams starting to take on more of a big contract instead of giving, let's say, type A kind of good players in the minor leagues. Maybe giving a team 2 type B players, but taking another $2 or $3 million on of a huge contract. If you have the dough.
Well, I think we saw in the Marlins-Astros trade for Carlos Lee, the Astros are paying the vast majority of that contract, but they got back a couple of prospects.
Matt Dominguez, who was supposed to make that Marlin team 2 years ago.
Third baseman who hasn't quite made it yet. Right hits it out to center field, and over comes Mather. And that retires the side. So after being given the 5-run lead, Wood pitches a 1-2-3 inning. After 5, 7-2 Chicago. Let's take a drive around the majors presented by Cadillac. And there it is. Tyler Colvin, a couple of home runs against Steven Strasburg, and the Rockies up 3-0 in the 6th, with Drew Pomeranz having allowed only 1 hit in that game. Phillies and Braves, that was Hudson and Kendrick. Score in the 8th. And Melky Cabrera just keeps on rolling. Giants up 5-4 on the Pirates. That game is in the 5th. Reed Johnson up for the 4th time. He already has a home run, a double, and an infield hit tonight. He has 3 triples this year as he makes a bid for the cycle.
Also known as the Aaron Hill this year.
Hill with 2 cycles in 2 weeks. Ramirez working in back of Santana, who went just 4 2/3 tonight and got rattled around by virtually everybody in that Cubs lineup, but most particularly Mr. Johnson. Ramirez came on to get the pitcher Wood on a comebacker for the final out in the 5th. And Johnson cracks one to center, but right at Neuenhuis, who picks it off for the out. Let me ask you a question. We've talked a lot during the last few days about Mets needs if they're going to be a contender, and we've talked about bullpen, and we've talked about a right-handed bat. Is Reed Johnson a guy that the Mets would be interested in?
I like him. He's a nice little spark plug type player. Every time I've seen him play, he's a hustler. If you need an immediate right-handed bat off the bench, yeah, sure.
I think off the bench. The problem you have with Reed Johnson is that on a Chicago team, he can play right field against the left-hander. Right now, you have Duda playing right field 90% of the time. Would you platoon him with Lucas Duda? Because Hairston is playing left. And when Bae comes back, he's going to be in left field.
Well, I guess that's a question you have to ask about Duda at this point, as that one's grounded to the left side, and Wright makes the tap and the toss for the second out. If you're in a pennant race, do you want Duda playing every day against left-handers? With all that you give up defensively with Duda, do you want him in there against lefties?
But, that can all change. All of a sudden, Duda can get in a hot streak, and all of a sudden, you forget about this slump. You can break out and start killing it.
Or you can say all of these at-bats where he has struggled and seen top-notch left-handers have made him better, where at some point the light bulb goes off, and he becomes a good hitter against left-handed pitching.
Here's Anthony Rizzo, who proved himself a good hitter against left-hand pitching his last time up with a 3-run homer that untied the game against Santana.
And I think if for Met fans out there, we're going to have Sandy Alderson in the booth on Sunday, the final game before the All-Star break, to have I'm sure, an in-depth conversation with Sandy, what he feels about the State of the Union, the Met Union.
Up the middle, and Cedeno can't make the diving stop, and Rizzo has his third hit of the night. So a 2-out hit for Rizzo. Alfonso Soriano coming up. Let's check in with the studio where Chris Carlin has this game break. Braves come in a game and a half behind the Mets in the standings, sitting in third place. Here's Soriano. Well, the other question about the Mets looking to acquire a right-handed bat, if you're doing that, are you looking for, a fourth outfielder type like a Reed Johnson, or are you looking for a starting player? In other words, say, as was just reported this evening, the Diamondbacks are considering offers for Justin Upton.
Yeah, I saw that.
Would you make a play? Would you be willing to sacrifice some of your young talent to get a guy the quality of an Upton? Well, that's our tweet of the game. If you'd rather see the Mets get bullpen help or right-handed offensive help, tweet us at SNYTV with the hashtag SNYMets and let us know what you think. 2-0 to Soriano, and Ramirez misses high 3-0.
Well, it's become a strange situation in Arizona. They are booing Justin Upton about as hard as you can boo a young player. He's in a 2-for-something slide, but I think anytime you can get a player like Justin Upton, you got to think about it. You got to look at it.
Of course, you have to give up one of your stud pitchers if you think about getting a player of that caliber.
Well, that wouldn't. Well, I think if you're Arizona, not only would it be a stud pitcher, it would have to be someone to take right field. So it would have to be one of your, Duda or Nimmo or
Nieuwenhuis, someone like that, packaged with one of the Mets' young stud pitchers. And I don't think right now the Mets are inclined to do that. But you never know. 3-1 to Soriano. And he tries to lay off. And apparently stopped it in time. That's ball 4. So a 2-out walk puts 2 men aboard for the Cubs. The other thing about the Diamondbacks that's so odd is a week ago they looked like they were making their move. And now all of a sudden they've lost 6 in a row. They're 7 games behind, 4 games under 500, and might be looking to sell. And that's what happens this time of year. In the month of July, teams trying to figure out whether they're buyers or sellers, and their status can change week to week.
Well, to me, it's unless you're the Cubs in their record, I think that it's too early to judge that. Especially if you're a Diamondback team and you see a Dodger team that has struggled at times, even though they are on top now. A Giant team that struggled at times, even though they've gotten some great individual efforts, whether it's Kane, Bumgarner, Melky Cabrera.
A lot of parity, so no one's really ever out of it. Whether you like that or not, the NFL, NBA, that's what it's become in all sport. By design.
Baker pops one up to shallow right. Cedeno goes out and grabs it on the run to end the inning. The Cubs strand 2. Mets come to bat in the bottom of the 6th, still trailing 7-2. Mets top-tier pitching prospect Zach Wheeler, plus find out what a lifelong Mets fan does to keep the players looking good on Mets Weekly, presented by WB Mason. New episode Sunday at 6 p.m. only on SNY.
Is that sartorially or haircuts?
It feels like that.
Yeah?
Something haberdashery related.
Okay. All right.
I guess you have to tune in and find out. Sunday at 6. Scott Hairston leads off in the home 6th inning against Travis Wood. And fouls that one down the right field side. 0-1.
Scott swings so hard at times he loses his balance in the box.
Last at bat, a Home Depot doing more on defense. It's a foul ball, but nonetheless an extraordinary play by Valbuena.
Well, that's like 7th inning on, guarding the line.
Well, as hard as Hairston is swinging, the Cubs now have 3 infielders on the left side against him. And he grounds that one right into the shift, and Barney charges and throws wide, and it gets by Rizzo, and Hairston is safe at first. So Barney, starting his first game at shortstop this year, made a similar play earlier in the game, but unable to make the connection this time, and it's an E6.
Did not have to throw on the run. Could have set himself.
Exactly.
And if you're going to throw on the run like this, it's going to be a sinker you're throwing to first base, so you got to throw it to the right side of the first baseman and sink it back to him. And the first baseman should give a target. And that's just out of the reach of Rizzo, who has nice footwork there.
Yeah.
Barney has a 69-game errorless streak at second base, but the error he makes at shortstop will not bring that to an end. There's Duda, who accounted for the first Met run with a home run, his 12th of the year. Hit it out to right center field in the second. Then he flied out to center field in the 4th. It was his 3rd home run against left-hand pitching this year. And Wood misses wide, 2-0. Miguel Batista, next man up in the Mets bullpen. Ramirez has gone an inning and a 3rd in relief. And a slider for a strike. And it's 2-1 to Duda. Justin Turner to follow. '25-year-old Travis Wood trying to stick with the Cubs, and off what he's done his last 3 or 4 starts, you'd have to think that he's here for good now.
Oh,
after a stint in the minors earlier this year.
Sorry, Gary. He's a big part of that trade. You know, Sean Marshall had some great years as a reliever for the Cubs, and they brought Wood in because they needed some young starters to go along with Jeff Smarja.
Sometimes you just don't know when a guy is ready to stick for good.
Well, I think what happened, too, for Travis Wood is that they already have a guy in the rotation in Cincinnati, Mike Leake, who's not a power guy. So they're going to have 2 non-power guys in that rotation. They opted to make the trade for Latos.
Latos and Volquez, who were traded for each other, went head-to-head last night. They both pitched brilliantly out in San Diego. Slow ground ball. Rizzo goes to second with it, gets the force there. Barney's return, and he airmails that one, but no harm, no foul, as the ball caroms off the bullpen fence. So Barney with his 2nd bad throw of the inning, but no harm done.
Nice footwork by Rizzo, like his glove, what I've seen so far.
See Hairston go to the inside. The problem is that Wood fell down. When he touched the base at first, he kind of slipped and fell down, but still not a very good throw by Barney. Watch when he goes to good athlete, great speed. Watch when he touches base, kind of slips. Oh, he just went past the base.
Yeah, the throw was right there. He just overran the bag.
He did Lewis and Clark.
These pitchers, you know.
We're a GPS anyway. Justin Turner's 2 for 2 tonight. And Justin takes inside ball 1. Here's your Kia 6th inning recap. Mets and Cubs played back and forth until the 5th, with Anthony Rizzo's 3-run homer untied it against Santana, who gave up 5 runs in that 5th inning and got knocked out of the box.
And that was on 7 hits. So half of the hits of the Cubs 14 were in that inning.
Turner takes one the other way, and he's got one down the line for an extra base hit. Duda lumbering to third. He'll be held up there, and Turner stops at second with his third hit of the night, an opposite field double.
Well, this is pretty much similar to the rule backdoor slider, too much plate, and Turner goes the other way nicely. And this is a similar play here last night with the Mets botched. And look at this. Hits the cutoff man. Run doesn't score. You're down 5 runs. You're going to play it safe.
So 2 in scoring position for Mike Nickius, a base hit here, and the Mets are right back in the game. Infield back, they'll concede a run on a ground ball. Nickius was flied out and walked tonight, 0 for 1, and takes the fastball high from Wood, and he'll get a visit from Giovanni Soto.
I've always liked those Cubs road uniforms, the blue and the red numbers.
Better than when they had the powder blues.
I didn't know they were awful.
They had the powder blue one year with the pinstripes. They were terrible.
So you liked your powder blues, but didn't like their powder blues.
Well, they had pinstripes with them. They were horrid.
The only powder blues I ever liked were Kansas City.
Yeah.
I liked the Royals powder blues because it kind of went with their motif.
It's like your old pale Columbia colors.
I'm glad you said that. It's not Carolina blue. It's Columbia blue. In the college basketball world, it's hard to convince anybody of that.
That's right.
Turner 3 hits tonight, most he's had in a game this year. Now Nicky is trying to cash him in. And he lifts one out to center. Tagging at third is Duda. Mather makes the catch. His throw goes to third. Sacrifice fly for Nickius trims the Chicago lead to 7-3.
Nice at bat by Nickius.
13th run batted in for Mike this year. Kirk Neuenhuis. Sean Camp up at the bullpen for the Cubs. In Philadelphia, scoreless game into the 8th. Phils go to the bullpen after 7 scoreless from Kyle Kendrick. A bases loaded walk by Antonio Bastardo, and then a grand slam for Brian McCann. 5-0 Atlanta. Bastardo came in to face the Mets last night. Heart of the batting order, 1-2-3.
And McCann's been having a nightmare year so far.
Neuenhuis is flying out and walked tonight, 0 for 1. And he takes that pitch high, and it's 2-0.
Talked about the 2 out runs for the Mets all season long. This will be a huge one, getting them back into this game.
Daniel Murphy out on deck to bat for Ramon Ramirez. The Mets only have one right-handed bat on the bench, and that's Andres Torres, who is probably unavailable tonight. So it's all lefties on the bench. Miguel Batista up in the bullpen. Neuenhuis takes a fastball for a strike, 2-1. Torres felt a back injury the last couple of days. That's kept Neuenhuis in the lineup against the lefties. 2-1 from Wood. Pulled on the ground and sliding over his Baker to get it. And that retires the side. Mets get an unearned run in the 6th. Down 7-3 as we go to the 7th. Night in New York. Lights of the city just make it a little warmer.
Yeah, right. Thank goodness they don't have the power outage like they're having down in D.C.
Wow. Reminds me of last year. Hit toward left field. Over comes Hairston. And plucks the fly ball hit by Soto. First pitch by Ramirez in the 7th. Results in the first out. So 1 out and nobody on. Joe Mather coming up. Well, as this week has gone along, as we head toward the All-Star break, we've been assessing the first half of various aspects of the Mets. And we've covered the starting pitching and we've covered the offense. And today we're going to talk about probably a less appetizing subject, the bullpen, which has been a concern for the Mets since day one.
Well, I think we can go with the guy right on the mound right now. Can't we? Keith and Gary is the guy Ramirez who came over in the trade. And all of us have seen him pitch in the past and was one of the strengths of that San Francisco bullpen the last couple of seasons. And he really hasn't gotten out of the gate. So if you're looking for a negative positive, it's that he has not had a good half, but we've seen him pitch well, and he's a guy that you look to be much better in the second half.
Hit off the end of the bat, and Cedeno plays the spinner and throws out Mather 2 away. Now, the Mets have been right at the bottom of most categories in the major leagues all year, and they still have the worst ERA in the National League among bullpens. And you know, the one area where the Mets spent some money in the offseason was on that pen, giving Francisco a 2-year deal, spending some money on John Roush. And I'd have to say that the results for that pair have been decidedly mixed this year.
I mean, I don't have as much problem with Francisco, to tell you the truth. I mean, I know he had a couple of bumps early, but once he went into Terry Collins' office, said, hey, listen, give me another chance. Let me run with this again. He was pretty spotless until the injury, wasn't he?
Since that Toronto outing that seemed to get his season turned around.
And, you know, the Mets have gone now with Sandy Alderson with one lefty in the bullpen, and I would like to see 2 there. They've tried a couple this year that haven't panned out, so it's back to Burdick back there, which kind of, I think, hamstrings Terry Collins when to bring Burdick in. I think on a positive note, Parnell has made strides this year, tremendous strides.
Absolutely.
Well, let me ask you this. When Francisco comes back from the disabled list, and that will probably be the second series after the All-Star break when the Mets get to Washington, does he necessarily take back full possession of the closer's role?
I think he will.
I think so. Yeah. Yes. No question.
Even if Parnell performs well between now and then.
I think so, because that's you know, you usually don't lose your spot to injury, and also there's nothing wrong with Bobby being the 8th inning man, because you don't have one right now.
And
you have one, but you know, Bobby's stronger,
more suited for that role.
Yeah.
Line to short, plucked by Tejada with a snow cone. Side retired. Well, Ramirez has gone 2 1/3 in relief to keep the Mets around, down 7-3 in the 7th. Baseball on SNY is brought to you by State Farm. Tonight's State Farm agent of the day is Pat Cawley of Glendale. Contact Pat's office at patcawley.org. By AT&T, rethink possible. And by New York Community Bank. Travis Wood still out there for the bottom of the 7th inning. 95 pitches deep into his night. Jordani Valdespin will bat for Ramon Ramirez as we start the bottom of the 7th. Ramirez going 2 1/3 in relief, just shy of his longest outing of the year. He went 2 2/3 in a game back in May. Valdespin, then Tejada and Cedeno for the Mets as they try and fight from behind after a night when Johan Santana did not have it. Knocked out after 4 2/3.
Well, Valdespin really had an impressive at bat last night in that 9th run rally. Worked a hit by pitch, but it was a terrific at bat off a hard throwing Papelbon.
Papelbon pitching him inside the entire at bat. He had him jumping, but ultimately he hit Papelbon on the thigh. Hit Valdespin on the thigh, and that set up the winning run.
And it was a 3-2 pitch, so it was ball 4 one way or the other.
Tejada on deck, then Cedeno for the Mets, who've had just 5 hits off Wood tonight. Valdespin taking all the way, and a strike, 2-1.
Well, Valdespin's been one of those guys we've been talking about over the 2 years. We've seen him in spring training. Impressive at bat, impressive swing. And I tell you what, for a young hitter to be in the position that he is, spot starting and pinch hitting, he has done a terrific job.
His 4th stint with the Mets already this year as he's been on the Buffalo shuffle. And, you know, whereas at times he's overswung this year, he has done a nice job in more recent at-bats cutting down his swing, particularly with 2 strikes.
Well, he's got a chance up there. He's a good swinger.
Taking all the way on 3-1, and he works out the walk. Nicely done by Valdespin. The 4th walk of the night for Travis Wood. And here comes Del Swaim up the dugout steps, and that's going to be all for Mr. Wood. So Wood goes 6 innings plus. Swaim ready to make a double switch. Says the pitcher's spot is due to lead off the next inning. Sean Camp will come out of the bullpen for Chicago. Cubs up 7-3 in the 7th. We'll be right back. For Slow Motion is brought to you by your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Visit them on the web at searchmercedes.com. Changes for the Cubs. Darwin Barney moves from shortstop to second base. Starlin Castro comes and plays shortstop. He'll bat 9th. And the new pitcher Sean Camp will bat in the number 5 hole.
Well, the veteran Camp came up in 04 for Kansas City. 2 years there, 2 years in Tampa Bay, and 3.5 years at Toronto, the veteran.
Camp now 36 years old, comes in to face Ruben Tejada with a man aboard. Valdespin worked out the leadoff walk as a pinch hitter. Travis Wood went 6 innings plus, allowed 5 hits, walked 4, struck out 3, threw exactly 100 pitches, gave up a home run. And now Camp pitching to Tejada, who's 0 for 2 and a walk, and works him inside, ball 1. Gil Batista getting ready to pitch in the 8th inning. And saw quite a bit of Camp in the series in Chicago. And Tejada grounds a double play ball down to Valbuena, to Barney for 1, and on to first for the double play, 2 out.
Well, that's
Barney
what
making a lot better throw from second base than from short.
Yes, he is. Nice play here by Valbuena. And that's what you get with Camp. Camp is a guy who kind of slings it up there, good sinker, and is going to get a ground ball.
Makes Travis Wood very happy.
Right.
So just like that, 2 out and nobody on. And now Ronnie Cedeno is scheduled to bat.
That old double play is the biggest rally killer there is, isn't there?
I'm not sure that Ronnie remembered that he was up. Perhaps he was indisposed. But home plate umpire Angel Campos looking a little perturbed that the Mets didn't have the proper hitter on deck.
I'm not going to get on anyone for being indisposed once in a while, Gary.
Not tonight, at least.
Cedeno 1 for 3, doubled off the wall and left to drive in a run back in the 3rd inning. You know, here's what I think might have just happened. If Tejada gets on, or even if he just makes 1 out, probably Murphy hits for Cedeno, and so he probably thought he was out of the game. But with 2 out and nobody on, he stays in. Hooked on the ground to short. Castro with his first chance and throws out Cedeno to end the inning. So Camp comes in, throws 4 pitches, gets 3 outs. Happy Travis Wood, 7-3 after 7. All right, now for Pomeranz, 6 1/3, 1 hit against one of the hottest offenses in baseball. Jordany Valdespin stays in at second base. The new pitcher, Miguel Batista, will hit second in the order.
You can see the numbers for Miguel, who's started some games. He has filled every role, really, in that bullpen. And see the base on balls, the strikeouts, just about the same.
Day before yesterday, he threw one pitch, gave up a hit to John Mayberry, and that was the sum total of his day. Starlin Castro, who did not start for the first time this season, coming into the game in the double switch, getting his first turn at bat.
I thought they were going to keep him out the whole game so he could watch and learn.
Well, he must have learned enough in 6.5 innings.
Okay.
Well, think about this. Dale Swaim has 2 players going to the All-Star game, and he didn't start either one of them tonight. Brian LaHare, who somehow made the All-Star team, and Starlin Castro.
He doesn't play against left-handers, LaHare.
Well, that's because he's 3 for 40 against left-handers. But even with that, I mean, his numbers, I mean, I know he won a spot on the players' ballot, but if you look at the numbers, how does Brian LaHare belong in the All-Star game?
Well, maybe it's what the players think about home runs, you know.
Well, he got off to a nice start this year. I guess the question is when that player balloting was conducted. But, you know, LaHare at this point isn't even a starting player. Anthony Rizzo took a spot at first base, and LaHare plays every once in a while in right field. Probably see him tomorrow against Dylan G, and then probably not again on Sunday against Jonathan Neese. Tejada to his left and throws out his shortstop counterpart. 1 out.
Tell you what, Tejada's fundies fielding ground balls are outstanding. He's got great lateral movement. Gets in front, 2 hands. I just love the way he plays shortstop. Nothing fancy. Gets the job done.
Anybody he remind you of?
Yeah,
just in terms of that very quiet fundamental style? Because you think about some of the more flamboyant shortstops we've seen over the years, whether it's a Ozzie Smith or an Omar Vizquel, a Ray Ordonez. Even Jeter has a certain style to his play.
Yeah, he catches a lot of balls on the run, right?
There's Reed Johnson, single double home run tonight, and he takes a strike.
No, Buddy Harrelson was a guy that never was a fancy Dan. Got in front of the ball, 2 hands.
I loved watching Buddy make the play in the hole. That plant and that overhand throw.
You know, it's funny when you watched Buddy, even when he would turn to double play, he would get on top of the ball. It wasn't side saddle unless he had to.
Buddy was an all-star BP pitcher, too. I tell you, he threw that great BP.
I was thinking Elvis Andrus has a real flair to his game.
I mean, I wouldn't compare Tejada to Cal Ripken because they're not the same size, but Ripken had that kind of quiet to his game at short.
Well, you saw him when he didn't perform at his best, and I saw him when he was at his best. Mike Bordick had that in Oakland.
It's a good call. Walt Weiss.
Walt Weiss, there's one.
2 balls and a strike to Reed Johnson. Darwin Barney waiting on deck. Cubs scored 5 in the 5th to snap a 2-2 tie. Anthony Rizzo had the big blow, a 3-run homer. And the Mets have been fighting uphill ever since. And that stroke to right field, and Johnson has his 4th hit of the night. So Reed Johnson with a 4 for 5 evening, and the only time he was retired was on a line drive. Let's go back to our Toyota tweet of the game. Bullpen help, right-handed bat. What do you think? TJ Watt says bullpen help, Houston Street. That'd be an interesting call.
I've heard his name a lot.
So look at this, more bullpen. Okay.
Bats are easier to find. Well, the Mets have plenty of the left-hand variety. It's an interesting perspective.
I don't know if bats are easier to find.
1 out and 1 on. Here's Darwin Barney, who's 1 for 4. It's an interesting dynamic, isn't it, from a fan standpoint? I wonder whether it's the same from a team, clubhouse standpoint, in that you look at the Mets' lack of success against left-handed pitching this year, and it becomes pretty apparent quickly that they need help from the right side. But that doesn't feel as visceral as a bullpen that lets leads get away late.
Well, I think that's today's game, though. We're talking about a game where, you know, now the Mets have been lucky because their starting pitching has been outstanding. But we're talking about a game where your bullpen is called on each and every night to get 6 to 9 outs. So if you don't have a good bullpen, then it can really start to weigh on your team. You know, you'll have players say, okay, who's coming in now? You know, that kind of stuff, and it could weigh on a team.
But checking their back pockets, see they're coming in with some gas cans in their back pockets. That was the old joke.
That's right.
Any cure for that?
No.
2-0 to Barney. And Batista misses again. 3-0. Anthony Rizzo has the biggest hit in this game. He's waiting on deck. Yeah, that's ball 4. And the Cubs have 2 men on. Jairo Asensio is up in the Cubs bullpen. So here's Rizzo, who's got 3 hits tonight, including that 3-run homer against Santana in the 5th that snapped a 2-2 tie. He now has 4 home runs and 9 RBIs in his first 10 games with Chicago. So Batista's given up a single to Johnson, who has his first 4-hit game since 2008, and a walk to Barney, and now dives into the fire with Rizzo. And he lines one past Turner into right, a base hit. Johnson goes to third and stops there. Anthony Rizzo has a 4-hit game, and the Cubs have the bases loaded. So Johnson in the leadoff spot, Rizzo in the 3-hole, each with 4 hits, and for Rizzo his first career 4-hit game.
Well, I'm impressed. Very relaxed, nice level cut. It's good to see these young hitters come up. It's one of the great joys for me up here in the booth, and there's the swing. Beautiful swing is to be able to see these guys come up and then develop. The Utleys, the Howards we've seen when they're young, Cole Hamels. Yeah. It's kind of it's fun to watch the progress.
Now you've got a new wave with Bryce Harper and Anthony Rizzo. Over in the American League, Mike Trout. Guys who may be big stars in this game over the next decade or so.
You know, Ruben Tejada, watching his progress over the couple years that he's been here. Of course, David Wright, remember him when he first came up. That's just a lot of fun to watch.
Brian LaHair out on deck to pinch hit for the pitcher in the 5-hole. Meanwhile, Soriano batting with the bases loaded. 1 for 3 and a walk tonight. Batista finding instant trouble here in the 8th. And Soriano bloops one to right. Duda coming on and sliding, and he can't make the catch. Johnson scores. Everybody else moves up a base. And the Cubs tack on a run. It's 8-3. Nice effort by Duda making the slide, but he couldn't make the catch. It's a base hit for Soriano.
Well, he gets here. I'm going to be curious how they rule this.
Yeah, it's going to be a base hit. It's got to be a base hit.
He gets there, but he just botches it.
Great hustle. Looks it in, just didn't get the glove in the perfect place.
Third hit of the inning and the 17th of the game for the Cubs, who now lead at 8-3. And now Brian LaHair, the aforementioned all-star, comes up to bat with the bases full.
Lucky the Mets don't play the Cubs all season long.
Wow. So it's amazing how the Mets can just get these terrible games and just get them out of their system, flush them out, and move on. This one remains to be seen. It's getting a stretch of the imagination, but it's awfully late. And tomorrow's another day. We'll see.
Well, of course, when the Mets went to Chicago, they played horribly the first 2 games and then won the last game 17-1. LaHair with 14 home runs for the year, but just 30 runs batted in with those 14 home runs.
That's you would think. It's a lot of solo shots, I would think.
LaHair, a longtime minor leaguer, just blossoming now at age 29. And you'd have to think that he is substantial trade bait. You know, you get a guy like that who's had a long minor league career. He has a breakout first half. You might be inclined to cash in your chips if you're the Cubs.
Especially to a team that is maybe struggling for some home run power.
And he's a first baseman, and if you're the Cubs, you have to figure you have your first baseman for the next decade. They're all on display now. All the Cubs wares. And it's true also with a team like the Astros, who've already broken the ice by making that deal with Carlos Lee going to Miami. Usually there are a couple of trades that happen in early July just to kind of establish how things are going to go, and then you get a flood of activity later in the month.
I don't know what the equivalent in New York would be, but it'd be Filene's bargain basement right now, right?
It's after hours trading on the NYSE.
There you go.
Well, here we are. We talked about the bullpen, and once again, here we are with the bullpen in some trouble.
Two-two to LaHare, and he struck him out. High fastball, got him on the foul tip for the second out of the inning.
Well, just a fastball up. That could have even been a slider that just didn't break.
So the base is still loaded now with 2 out. And here comes Giovanni Soto, who's 2 for 4 tonight. Singled twice, scored a run. 17 hits for the Cubs tonight, a season high for them. And remember, they came in with the dreadful numbers against left-handers this year. Before the Mets went to Chicago, the Cubs had won only 4 times all season when the lefty started against them. And they got a chance tonight to beat Santana for the second time in a week and a half. Ooh. Soto cracks one to deep center field, chasing Nieuwenhuis back, and Kirk gets there to make the running grab. Nicely done by Nieuwenhuis to prevent more damage after the Cubs get a run in the 8th off Batista and lead it 8-3. Nice overhead look at Columbus Circle. Traffic just going in the circle there. That's why they call it Columbus Circle. Tomorrow afternoon, Mets and Cubs play game 2 of this series. It's a 4 o'clock start here at Citi Field. Our coverage begins at 3:30. Dylan G pitches against Jeff Samardzija. Mets and Cubs, 3:30. Be right there, right here on SNY. James Russell comes on to pitch the bottom of the 8th for Chicago.
Well, with camp, he's been one of the strengths of this bullpen. You can see all the numbers good for James Russell. Throws awfully hard, just like his dad Jeff did. 90 plus.
I remember his dad when he was the Reds starter. Started for the Reds. He's a big, hard throwing right-hander.
And Jeff Russell went to Texas and made his name as a reliever there. David Wright leading off, came into the day second or tied for second in the National League in RBIs, trailing only his ex-mate Carlos Beltran. David started the night with 17 RBIs in his last 8 games to move up on that list. Now facing the left-hander Russell. David's gone 0 for 3 tonight, 2 ground outs and a fly ball. And he attacks the first one and fouls it right at the plate. 0-1.
Whenever I see James Russell pitch, all I can think about is I owe his father, Jeff Russell. I still have the Santana Sambati CD that he let me use, and I never gave it back to him.
You didn't wear it out, did you?
No, I still listen to it. I guess, boy, that's 1992.
Maybe you're going to email him the iTunes version.
Or at least give him a card or something, a gift certificate.
Hit hard and foul. Be funny if you could find like the 8-track version instead of that.
The 8 tracks, remember those?
I probably could on Bedford Avenue. I'm sure it could.
Remember the 8 tracks? They would skip over in the middle of a song.
That's right.
I had a friend who had a yellow Z28 with an 8-track player in it.
Yeah.
It was a piece of work, let me tell you. Got those 8 tracks rattling around in the seat wells.
That's right. They could take some abuse, though, couldn't they?
Well, you couldn't kill them.
No.
But then the cassettes were the greatest inventions in sliced cheese.
And you still were a reel-to-reel man.
I had the reel-to-reel, that dinosaur. I still have it down in the basement.
2-2 coming to right, and he drills one to left field for a base hit. That'll go to the wall, and David will have an extra base hit. His 27th double of the year.
Well, like I've always preached, never give up an at-bat. As few as possible. Hanging slider. It's an 8-3 ball game, kind of a flat game. David's 0 for 3. Never give up the at-bat. One a day keeps the doctor away. And nice hitting by David.
Well, on the heels of their rally last night, I don't think anybody in that Mets dugout is giving up the ghost on this game. So now runner at second and nobody out for Hairston, who's 0 for 3 tonight and gets to face another left-hander.
And not so much playing the pull in the infield like they did the last at-bat off Hairston. You see the second baseman way up the middle as you look at Lucas in the on-deck circle. Castro way over to pull.
Breaks his bat as he lines that one foul.
I don't know if it still happens anymore, but these are the times that the dugouts have a little baseball chatter. You have guys saying, hey, let's hit for a half hour. Hairston comes up and Wright just hit a double. Trade places with him. You know, this guy can't get us out. Saying all those little kind of things that kind of get each other going and saying, hey, it's only a 5-run deficit. A couple here, put a couple on in the ninth. You never know.
But also, Bill Allman teach all those lines?
Yes, he did.
Bill Allman.
King of cliche.
When you're down this late with this many runs, it's nice to have a couple guys, like 3 guys in the lineup that can hit 25, 30 plus. That's right. A 3-run bop puts you back in the game.
Hairston takes the fastball in tight. 2-1. Two and two.
Boy, that's a real flat slider he is throwing right now, Mr. Russell.
2-2 coming to Hairston. And he fouls that one off Soto and back. Right at second and nobody out. Hairston coming off home runs each of the last 2 nights. Pops this one foul. Fastball up that time. Scott Hairston, 3rd generation big leaguer, facing James Russell, 2nd generation big leaguer. Justin Turner hoping that a rally could ensue in front of him. 2-2. And Hairston lifts one down the left field line, headed toward foul ground and out of play.
Hairston's
trying to fake inside. Look at Soto.
Oh, it's a Tony Pena move.
Doesn't usually work at this level,
but he threw a nice slider to hit. Jeez.
This will be the 8th pitch of the at bat from Russell to Hairston. And there'll be a 9th. Well, last night the Mets were down by a run, and we talked about the quality of at bats that they were turning in as they rallied. Here, even down by 5, same story.
I don't think they know any other way than to take these kind of at bats.
Well, there's no quit in them, that's for sure.
Mets have been out hit in this game 17-6, but trying to find a way with 6 outs to play with. Two from Russell, and Hairston hits it out to center field. Mathers right there and puts it away for the first out. Wright won't go anywhere, and that's the first out of the inning. Let's check in with Gary Apple, see what's coming up later tonight on Geico Sports Night. Gary?
Gary, thanks so much. Coming up tonight, going to have the very latest on Jeremy Lin and the possibility he returns to the Knicks, and going to check in on Brandon Nimmo playing for Brooklyn tonight. See you guys in just a bit.
All right, Gary.
Nice. Baseball.
Here's Lucas Duda with a runner at second and 1 out. Duda homered back in the 2nd inning, his 12th of the year. Hit that one off the left-hander Travis Wood, now facing another lefty in James Russell. Duda 1 for 3 on the night. And Russell cuts one outside for ball 1. Duda with his home run tying Scott Hairston for that crowded lead. Your Time Warner Cable Mets home run leaders.
4 guys on a pace for 20+.
Mets as a team have hit 69 home runs, 70 tonight with the one Duda hit, 12th in the National League. And Russell quickly falls behind 2-0. You got a couple of right-hand hitters to follow in Turner and Nikias. Turner already 3 for 3 tonight. So this is a very important batter for Russell with nobody up behind him in the Cubs bullpen. Sean Camp worked an inning behind Travis Wood, who's pitcher of record on the long side. And Duda takes a strike, 2-1.
I don't know about you, Ron, but 2-0. I want Lucas swinging the bat. 2-run bomb. All of a sudden, it's 8-5.
Right at second and 1 out. And Duda weaves at the slider, and it's 2-2.
It's almost backwards, right, Keith?
Yeah.
You know, the thing is, for a pitcher, from the pitching side, is if I know that there's a good chance 2-0 that I can throw a fastball and you're going to take it, boy, that gives you a lot of confidence to get back into the count.
So now it's 2-2 to Lucas, and he goes down swinging at the slider for the second out.
Well, Lucas has got to learn to lay off that bait slider. It starts out as a strike and then goes down out of the strike zone outside. He fishes out too much. He's got to learn to lay off that pitch.
Tell me, though, that's got to be the last piece of the puzzle for any hitter. That's the toughest one to lay off, right?
Yes. Learn to swing at strikes.
Yeah.
Period. Have a good eye at the plate. Don't let the pitcher expand the strike zone. But that's been kind of a pattern with Lucas against the left-handers that I've noticed.
So now Turner's 3 for 3 tonight, 2 singles and a double. Batting here with a runner in scoring position. And that's where he has generally excelled, hitting .381 this year with runners in scoring position. It's not been an easy road for Turner this year. Last year had over 400 at bats. He has not even gotten to 100 halfway through this year. Missed some time with an ankle injury. And he lines that one into center for a base hit. Right comes to third. He'll be waved around by Tim Tuffle. The throw to the plate by Mathers skips in. And Turner comes through again with a runner in scoring position. His 4th hit of the night cuts the Cubs lead to 8-4. He's remarkable. He has been for 2 years in these spots.
Another ball out over the plate. And there's another hitter in Turner that he stays within himself. He knows he's not a power hitter, the doubles hitter. Hits line drives, goes up the middle.
Keith, you make a good point. And Gary, I wonder how many times in these situations the hit is up the middle or to the opposite field.
Third 4-hit game of Turner's career, his first this season. So now it's 8-4, and here's Nickius, who's 0 for 1, a walk and a sacrifice fly. Another 2-out run for the Mets. Their first tonight, their 185th of the season. And Nickius grounds one down to third. Valbuena goes the short way, and that retires the side. Mets scratch one back on Turner's 2-out hit, but they trail 8-4 as we go to the ninth. Miguel Batista, who gave up a run in the 8th inning, stays out to pitch the 9th with the Mets down 8-4. Joe Mather will lead off for the Cubs in the 9th inning. The Cubs 8 runs and a season high 17 hits. The Mets 4 runs and 7 hits. And Mather, first pitch swinging, pops one up to shortstop. Easiest of plays for Tejada. 1 pitch and 1 out. Carlos Marmol in what will be a non-save situation, getting ready for the bottom of the ninth. Now Luis Valbuena, who's gone 1 for 4 tonight. Among the 17 hits for the Cubs tonight, 4 apiece for Reed Johnson and Anthony Rizzo. It's the first time in 3 years the Mets have had a game in which they've given up 4 hits to 2 different players. Got to go back to 2009 against Tampa Bay. B.J. Upton and Evan Longoria each had 4 hits in a game against the Mets.
Well, there haven't been a lot of happy moments for those Cubs this season, but a lot more of them since Rizzo's come up.
And more than their share against the Mets.
Yeah, right.
Trying to beat the Mets for the 3rd time in 4 games. Matt Garza, who got cuffed around last night.
He's another guy that might be attractive to teams. Starting pitcher, very mercurial, but great stuff.
Wright retreating and makes the grab on the pop-up by Valbuena for the 2nd out. Let's check in with the studio, see what's coming up on WB Mason post-game live. Chris Carlin, Bobby Ojeda, guys. All right, thanks, guys. Here's Starlin Castro, who's 0 for 1 tonight. Came off the bench in a double switch, grounded out to shortstop. Out of the starting lineup for the first time this year. Spent an educational 6.5 innings next to his manager and bench coach. Of course, Castro, for all of his great talent, has had lapses during his career. Forgetting the number of outs, having his back turned to the plate while the ball was in play.
I was not here. Did Reyes have any of those things because he came up at such a young age?
Nothing quite like that.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, we saw him slam his glove to the ground one time.
Yes, we did. Lost all of his jewelry. Led to a lot of fireworks later.
Like bottle rockets? Batista's 1-1 to Castro, and there's a call strike. Batista and Castro, huh?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, really. Very good, Gary.
Somebody should ask Ozzie Guillen what he thinks.
They tried that. Maybe they should stay away from that question.
Probably a good idea. Certainly he should stay away from any answer.
Yeah.
Past the mound, Tejada near the bag. The off-balance throw, not in time. Nice effort by Tejada, but Castro has an infield hit. Hit number 18 for the Cubs.
And he brings some speed, too.
Well, Ruben does all he can do. Get rid of it quickly. Too quick. Like a gazelle.
That was
stretching for that bag.
Bob Beeman-like.
29 feet in thin air. Well, here's Reed Johnson. Another chance for the cycle and a chance for the rare 5-hit game. Johnson led off this game with a home run. He doubled high off the fence in the 3rd. He's had an infield hit and a single to right since then. Johnson does not have a 5-hit game in his career. That would be a nice note to put on his resume. Now 35 years old. And he fouls one that rocks Nikias's world.
Big cut. Nice swing right on it.
And Johnson fouls another one off Nikias. Mike Nikias, pin cushion.
He's getting beat up.
Where did that one catch him? On
top of the knee? Did he get his knee? It surely did.
Well, Reed Johnson with 4 hits off Met pitching and 2 hits off Mike Nikias. Miguel Batista is a very patient man. Johnson tries to hold. He went around strike 3, and the inning is over. Second strikeout in relief for Batista, and the Mets will come to bat in the bottom of the 9th, down by 4 with Marmol coming on. SNY is brought to you by Time Warner Cable. Enjoy all the things you love better. TV, internet, and home phone from Time Warner Cable. By Budweiser. By New York State. Discover what you love. Plan your vacation now. By the New York Lottery. By Partners Executive Transportation, driving you around the world. And by Chrysler. Take advantage of great deals at the Chrysler Town and Country event. Changes for the Cubs as we go to the bottom of the 9th. Joe Madler moves from center field to left field. Speedy Tony Campana comes into play center. And the Cubs will go to their closer, Carlos Marmol, in a non-save situation.
Well, Marmol is throwing a lot more fastballs. He was one of those guys who was getting into a lot of trouble. The manager, Dale Swain, told him he doesn't want to see as many sliders. He wants to see more fastballs, and he's been more effective.
Kurt Neuenhuis leads off in the last of the 9th. Jordani Valdespin behind him, and then Ruben Tejada. Mets need to get a couple of men aboard to get David Wright to the plate. Neuenhuis takes a strike. Neuenhuis 0 for 2 and a walk tonight. Facing Marmol, the 4th Chicago pitcher of the night. Travis Wood went 6 innings plus. Stands to be the winning pitcher. And a fastball for a strike to Neuenhuis, 0-2. Rockies beat the Nationals tonight 5-1 in D.C. So the Mets, if they lose, will not lose any ground to the first place Nats. They started the night 4.5 behind. Braves shut out the Phillies tonight 5-0 in Philadelphia, so the Braves would move a half game behind the Mets in the standings. When the day began today, just for conversation and reference sake, if the season ended before today, the Mets would be in the postseason. They and the Giants had possession of the 2 wild card spots. Neuenhuis went around strike 3, and that's the first out in the bottom of the 9th.
Phillies with that loss tonight, 17-25 at home, a place that they were just nails at.
And now 11 games under 500 for the first time in 10 years. Here's Valdespin, who walked in his only plate appearance as a pinch hitter in the 7th, stayed in at second base. The Giants beat the Pirates tonight 6-5. Cooling off the Pirates, just their second loss in the last 9 as Valdespin hits one deep to right center. Back goes Johnson near the wall. It's out of here. Jordani Valdespin takes one deep, and it cuts the Cubs' lead to 8-5. Third career home run for Valdespin, the first one that hasn't come as a pinch hitter.
Well, interesting, he watched the fastballs, both 2 fastballs to Neuenhuis, the leadoff bat at bat. He wasn't going to take a pitch.
Well, go for it. You're down. Fastball. He can hit this young man. He's impressive, and he's got some pop.
So now the Mets down 8-5. You got Tejada coming up, Murphy on deck to pinch hit for the pitcher, and if those two could get on, they could get David Wright to the plate as the tying run.
You really have to make sure, though, you let Marmol throw strikes.
And Tejada takes a strike.
Because he can get himself into trouble with the base on ball.
Well, he's throwing more fastballs.
Yeah. And since he's been throwing more fastballs, he's been walking fewer. He still averages more than a walk per inning, though, for the season. And quickly he's ahead on Tejada, 0-2. Ruben 0 for 3 and a walk tonight. Mets have hit 2 home runs tonight. Duda back in the 2nd. Now Valdespin in the 9th. Murphy on deck to bat for the pitcher. And the Cubs bullpen is staying busy. They've got their closer in the game. They've got a 3-run lead, and they have got a safety net behind them.
They've seen this happen before.
They're Mercurio Marmol. Ahead on Tejada, 1-2. And he fouls off the slider. Mets have hit 2 home runs tonight. Log on to sny.tv/Dwayne Reed to print out your coupon for 2 Garnier hair products for $10, redeemable at any Dwayne Reed location. Tim Burdock up in the Mets bullpen, hoping there's a 10th inning for him to pitch. 1-2, and Tejada fouls off a fastball. So he fouls off the slider, fouls off the tough fastball.
Deja vu.
If nothing else in this inning, you want to make life as difficult as possible for Marmol. Slider just missed 2-2 because that could make his availability more tenuous the next 2 days.
Not an early start tomorrow, but still late afternoon.
Tejada's already seen 6 pitches at this at bat, and he fouls off another one.
I mean, in these situations, you're always looking for to get your man up there, get a couple on, get David Wright up there with a chance.
That's Tejada, who's been something to watch in these late game situations. Right in the hole, 2 batters away.
Those are those never die-hard Met fans.
Sometimes prayer is appropriate. 3-2. This is what he did last night. Very similar circumstances. Then they were down by 1. Now they're down by 3. Worked an 8-pitch walk last night against Papelbon. Now he's already seen 8 pitches this at bat from Marmol. And he walked him. Unbelievable. Tejada does it again. A 9-pitch walk. And now the Mets need just 1 more base runner to get that tying run to bat. And Daniel Murphy will be the pinch hitter.
again got a big hit last night in that 9th inning. Tied the ball game up. A hit prior to David Wright's game winner. Bullet off the foot of Papelbon.
Joe Marmole's given up a home run and a walk to the last 2 hitters after striking out Nieuwenhuis to start the inning. The first baseman Rizzo will play behind Tejada. Murphy 2 for 5 last night, and he has been on a tear. 15 RBIs in his last 9 games. And he takes it high, ball 1. Mets know the deal with Marmole and his history. They haven't faced him all that often, but most of them have the offers to show for their at-bats. Murphy 0 for 2 against Marmole. 2-0.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy.
Well, David Wright hoping for the chance if Murphy can get on. Well, there was somebody up a moment ago in that Cubs bullpen, but no more. Two and 0 to Murphy.
Got a take.
And he does, and it's ball 3.
Uh-oh, losing his cool, and that ball is not a strike.
And he took something off that fastball, just trying to get it over.
Aiming it. Trying to aim it in there. He didn't even start in the strike zone.
Angel Campos, the home plate umpires, had a good strike zone tonight. Well, Murphy's taken one here on 3-0. And that's ball 4, and the tying run will come to bat with David Wright striding to the plate.
Amazing.
Well, the Mets were down 8-4 when the inning began. Now they get the tying run to bat. Chris Bosio, the pitching coach, heads out to talk to his erratic closer.
Well, this is the Marmole we have come to know over the years.
But now he's having trouble throwing strikes with that fastball, and you know you can see it rattling around in his brain. Well, they told me to throw more fastballs. Now maybe I need to change the game plan again. And I wonder whether David will have that in his mind, or whether he'll be looking fastball all the way.
Well, David's got to have one rip, huh? One look, middle in. Oh, first pitch slider here, Chief. Can't throw the fastball over.
David's 0 for 4 in his career against Marmole. Tying run at the plate, 8-5 Chicago, bottom of the ninth. Wright is 1 for 4 on the night. And David takes the slider off the plate for ball 1.
That is a wicked slider. That didn't miss by much.
Ike Davis has come out on deck to bat for Scott Hairston. And Wright takes this slider for a strike. So just as we suspected, Marmole changing the game plan and throwing 2 sliders to David.
If he gets it over the middle, David keeps that shoulder in. It's going to be a slider to rip.
Three sliders in a row, and now it's 2-1. Valdez with a home run. Tejada and Murphy with back-to-back walks to set the table. 2-1. Well outside, and it's 3-1 to Wright.
Archie Bell right there. He did the tighten up.
And still, Dale Swaim has his bullpen quiet, with Marmole 22 pitches deep into this 9th inning. And still far from home.
Might get the first fastball on this at bat.
Marmole's walked 2 in a row. He's behind on Wright, 3-1. Too high, ball 4, and the bases are loaded. 3 walks in a row from Marmol, and the Mets have the tying runs on base. And Ike Davis coming to the plate to bat for Scott Hairston. Well, Bosio has already made his trip to the mound. If they went out again, they'd have to pull him, and there's still nobody throwing in the bullpen.
A little role reversal here. Ike was struggling. How many times did Scott Hairston bat for Ike late in ball games? Now Davis with the chance.
Ike is 1 for 2 against Marmol in his career. Davis 1 for 4 last night. 24 RBIs in his last 22 games. And a chance to be a hero in the bottom of the 9th tonight. 8-5 Chicago, bases loaded, 1 out. And Davis takes a slider off the plate for ball 1. And Marmol in full meltdown.
This is just amazing on a major league level.
1-0. There's a strike with a fastball. 1-1 to Davis.
Trying to see if he sneaks another one back. Tries to sneak another one past Ike. Oh, hit one out of the ball. He might.
1-1. Line shot, base hit. Tejada is in. Murphy being waved home. White stops at second. It's now 8-7. The tying runs at second base. Ike Davis with a 2-run base hit as a pinch hitter to get the Mets within a run.
How about the 2 at-bats in 2 days by Ike Davis in the 9th inning on Papelbon last night and here, Keith?
Nice hitting by Ike. Let go with one hand, just out of the reach. Barney. David Wright couldn't go first to third. He had to freeze. A chance the ball could be caught and you get doubled up. He had to freeze. This is incredible.
Well, the Cubs are going to live and die with their closer. He's given up 3 runs in the 9th inning. It's now 8-7. The tying and winning runs on base for Lucas Duda. And he takes a slider for a strike.
Boy, he almost did not stop there. It could have called a balk on him.
Duda homered back in the 2nd inning. Wright the tying run at second. Davis the potential winning run at first. And Duda lines one back to Marmol. It'll be a double play and the ball game is over. So Marmol squirms out of it by getting the comebacker line drive. Davis is doubled off first, and the Mets' 9th inning rally falls a run shy.
Well, what can you say here? I think the dude got jammed here a little bit.
Still the only place.
I tell you what, it might have gotten through. You never know. I think Barney had a chance to get there. But there you go.
Well, the Mets with another never say die effort. A home run by Valdespin, 3 walks, and then a 2-run single by Davis to get them within a run. But Marmol survives after giving up 3 in the 9th, and the Cubs win at 8-7.
Well, too big of a hole presented, even though with the comeback by Santana. Couldn't handle the first 3 hitters. 9 for 15 they were, with 5 runs scored and 2 home runs.
Your Time Warner Cable game summary. Anthony Rizzo with a huge night. He was 4 for 5 with a 3-run homer. Reed Johnson also had 4 hits and that leadoff home run. Justin Turner 4 hits for the Mets as the Mets fall by a run, 8-7. More from Flushing coming right up.